Most folks know how important probiotics are for digestive health, but did you know that the little critters are good for a lot more than a healthy tummy? In fact, probiotic bacteria are essential for the health of the entire body. In addition to improving regularity and the health of the colon, probiotic bacteria detoxify drugs and poisons, and they help us process cholesterol and fats. And they represent a major mechanism for the elimination of estrogen, which can be especially important for women who are dealing with fibromyalgia, autoimmunity, and other female health issues. Even our food choices are made in part by the signals that are sent from the intestinal bacteria to the appetite control centers in our brain. The best way to support probiotic health is to eat fermented veggies like sauerkraut and kimchi, and to use a daily probiotic supplement. Use the kinds with multiple bacterial species and take at least 10 billion units a day. 80 million Americans suffer from hypertension, which is associated with kidney and liver disease, heart failure, and decreased longevity. It's a serious problem, and if you go the medical route to address it, you're going to be taking a beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, ACE inhibitor, or some other pharmaceutical. The problem is these drugs, even if they'll lower your blood pressure, are pretty darn powerful, and you can end up feeling worse than if you didn't take any drugs at all. If you have been diagnosed with hypertension, you should be taking the condition seriously. But you don't necessarily need a drug to deal with it. You can naturally lower your blood pressure by practicing slow, deep, rhythmic breathing techniques. Breathe in deeply for 10 seconds or so, exhale for 10 seconds, do this for 5 minutes, and you can drop your blood pressure significantly without medication. And instead of side effects, you'll lower your blood pressure and you'll be adding years to your life. One of the most multifunctional and inexpensive nutritional foods is apple cider vinegar, which is not only packed with potassium and B vitamins, but is also a great source of a special substance called short fats, which unlike typical fats are water soluble. They're watery fats. They're easy for the body to process, and they're important for brain health as well as for diabetics. Apple cider vinegar watery fats provide energy for brain cells and have a stabilizing effect on blood sugar. And apple cider vinegar is a great digestive aid that can support the work of stomach acid and enzymes. Use a capful or two with meals. You can also take some between meals, where it will be an appetite suppressant. Use it on your salad. It will help you digest and absorb valuable nutrients from your lettuce and tomatoes and other salad veggies. If you want to slow down the aging process, or if you just want to feel better, think about starting a meditation practice. The effects of meditation improve a broad spectrum of physical and psychological symptoms, including reduced anxiety, less pain and inflammation, enhanced mood, and decreased stress. There's a lot of benefits you can get from the comfort of your own living room with a health strategy that takes just a few minutes a day. While there's thousands of meditative techniques, some of which are done over the course of hours or days, to start, all you need to do is sit on your couch and watch the inhale and exhale of the breath. Don't try to change anything. Just pay attention to your respiration for 5 or 10 minutes, and soon you'll find your muscles are relaxing, your thoughts are quieting down, and even though you can't tell right away, you could be adding years to your life. Leaky gut syndrome, a medically unrecognized but still very real health challenge. It involves leaks, literal leaks in the intestine that allow incompletely digested food, as well as toxins, allergens, and bacteria to enter into the circulation and initiate immune system reactions within the blood and ultimately into body tissues. Once this occurs, it's a short jump to almost all health challenges, most especially chronic fatigue, autoimmunity, neurological issues including migraines and movement disorders, and many skin diseases. To patch up a leaky gut, it's critical to eliminate problem foods. Using apple cider vinegar and digestive enzymes with meals can help. So can bone broth, powdered gelatin, and aloe vera gel. The minerals zinc and amino acid glutamine can be beneficial, and because good bacteria play a key role in strengthening the intestine, nothing is more important than a good probiotic supplement for improving intestinal health as well as the bodily symptoms of a leaky gut. If you're looking for an anti-aging supplement, you might want to consider something called DHEA. It's an adrenal hormone that's derived from cholesterol. It's really very similar to the much maligned molecule, and it's an immune booster that helps the body handle stress. It's also helpful for sugar metabolism and for building muscle. As we age, the ability to produce enough DHEA becomes compromised, and many people notice increased vigor as well as better immunity and weight loss when they start supplementing with this really important molecule. DHEA is as close to a youth-promoting magical supplement as you can get, and it's pretty gentle, but it's still a hormone and you should use it carefully. If you take too much, your skin may get oily or you may start breaking out. You may notice extra hair growth on the body or hair loss on the head. If that happens, reduce your dose or discontinue. You can also use a derivative of DHEA called 7-keto DHEA, which has fewer side effects effects, although it is pricier. 500,000 people lose their gallbladders annually, and removal of the pear-shaped organ located in the upper right-hand part of your body is one of the most common of all invasive procedures. Without a gallbladder, you're at risk for nutritional deficiencies and intestinal health issues. And gallbladder removal can wreak havoc on the health of the skin, causing dryness, oiliness, blemishes, dark spots, rashes, and eczema. If you have your gallbladder and you want to keep it, make sure you're staying away from problem foods. The most important controllable cause of gallstones is food intolerances and digestive distress. If you've had your gallbladder removed, make sure you're supplementing with fatty vitamins D, E, A, and K, as well as omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids. And you want to use digestive enzymes and bile salts with all your meals. Probiotics are important, apple cider vinegar can be helpful, and lecithin granules taken with fatty foods can support processing in the intestine. Vitamin D is a type of cholesterol that's made in the skin in response to the sun. Deficiencies, which are quite common, can lead to autoimmune issues, chronic fatigue, depression, muscle aches, frequent colds and flus, and osteoporosis. And if your bones fracture or break easily, you could be missing this vital nutrient. Typically, deficiencies are linked to a lack of solar exposure, and while folks who avoid the sun or use lots of sunscreen can take supplemental capsules, because vitamin D from supplements as well as from sunshine is inactive and needs to be turned on in the liver and kidney, you could have a functional vitamin D deficiency even if you're supplementing or out in the sun. If you are dealing with poor kidney function or have a fatty liver, in addition to getting regular sun exposure or supplementing, make sure you're taking care of these critical organs by staying away from problem foods, as well as avoiding processed carbs and excessive sugar intake, both important strategies for maintaining liver and kidney health. The human body contains 700 muscles, and over time, as the accumulation of toxicity and nutritional deficiencies take their toll, they can become stiff and inflamed, causing joint problems, poor circulation, weight gain, neuropathies, loss of movement, and coordination issues. To stretch muscles effectively, hold a position for 20 to 30 seconds. You should feel a slight tension, but you don't want to feel any pain. Interestingly, while many people believe that we should be stretching prior to exercising, stretching cold muscles before the increased blood flow induced by a workout can actually harm them. Best to do some light exercise for a few minutes, then commence some good stretching. But you do want to make sure you stretch after a workout to help prevent soreness. Other good times to stretch are first thing in the morning and before bed. And spending 2 minutes with a stretching routine in the middle of the day. Acupuncture, based on the idea that biological electricity flows along pathways called meridians, has been successfully used for millennia to treat illness, reduce pain, and improve quality of life. If you want to try acupuncture, but the thought of being poked with pins makes you queasy, you might want to experiment with acupressure, which can be just as effective as acupuncture, but without the needles. Acupressure is simple to perform. All you need to do is firmly but gently press a meridian or pressure point using your thumb or finger for 5 to 10 seconds. Repeat 3 or 4 times, then do the same thing on the corresponding point on the opposite side of your body. Some meridian targets for acupressure therapy include pressure points between your big and second toes, which can relieve anxiety. The point between the vertebrae behind the neck and the top of the shoulders can relieve tension in the back. And try applying pressure to the webbed area between your pointing finger and thumb to relieve hangover, discomfort, and nausea. These days, beauty aficionados have a wide variety of services they can choose from for improving their skin's appearance. But for all the high-tech options available to today's patient, exfoliation treatments called chemical peels remain the easiest and simplest procedure you can use for supporting beautiful skin. In a typical chemical peel, a mild fruit-derived acid applied to the skin's surface loosens dead cells, initiating biochemistry that results in stronger, softer, smoother skin, a lightening of dark spots, improved healing of blemishes, and a reduction in fine lines and wrinkles. Chemical peels can be done at home using mild solutions of glycolic, lactic, or salicylic acids, or for a more intense and dramatic peel, they can be done professionally in a salon using stronger versions of these same molecules. For best results after a chemical peel, make sure you're applying fat-soluble vitamin C and using nutritional supplements. You can also eat right to heal. Eggs, seafood, mushrooms, and pineapple are especially important post-peel healing foods. The most common type of cancer is the one that affects skin cells called squamous cells and basal cells. And while these dermatological conditions are nowhere near as deadly as the ones that affect the body internally, they can still be disfiguring, and in the case of squamous cell carcinomas, even fatal. Most people blame the sun for skin cancer, but although it may be involved in triggering them, there's a lot more to initiating malignancies of the skin than solar exposure. Like all cancers, a much more important cause is nutritional deficiencies, and of all the skin protective nutrients, none is more important than vitamin A. Vitamin A supplements taken in high doses, 20 to 25,000 IU a day, can help prevent the development of squamous and basal cell carcinomas. You can also use vitamin A topically for prevention, and daily application in its retinol and retinoic acid forms has been shown to be protective against both forms of skin cancer. Not only that, but applying topical retinol retinol and retinoic acid, is one of the best ways to destroy pre-skin cancerous lesions. Proteins, carbs, and fats make up the three major caloric components of all foods. Carbs, technically called saccharides, make up the lion's share of most of our calories. And unfortunately, while there are carbohydrates that are critical for good health and cellular energy, for the most part, the carbs we eat are unnaturally concentrated and not only devoid of much nutritional value themselves, but they can actually cost us precious vitamins and minerals. Protein is like a power car, basically a carbohydrate structure with a nitrogen battery attached to it. This nitrogen battery turns the carbohydrate to the most functional molecule in the body and the essence of all life forms. Fats, basically complicated and larger versions of saccharide carbohydrates. Dietary fats are much more functional than carbohydrates. In addition to being excellent sources of energy, they can act as control molecules and hormones to trigger inflammation as well as to slow it down. And one of the most important strategies for keeping all diseases, cancer, heart disease, and autoimmunity under control is to avoid fried, processed, or artificial fats. There's a very important relationship between the biochemistry of stress and skin health. Via the hormone cortisol, psychological duress can induce a wide range of skin health issues. Likewise, blue light from cell phones, poor sleep habits, bad food choices, and nutritional deficiencies can all have impacts on skin stress hormone levels. This can in turn lead to dark spots, dryness and skin sensitivities, thin skin, wrinkles and fine lines, oiliness and blemishes. To address skin cortisol, leverage food and nutritional strategies like calorie restriction and avoiding sugar and processed foods. Use supplements including magnesium, zinc, vitamin C and A, and hormone precursors DHEA and pregnenolone. Also, applying fat-soluble vitamin C directly onto the skin can help mitigate the effects of cortisol. And nothing beats 6 to 8 hours of beauty sleep for reducing cortisol, keeping skin youthful, radiant, healthy, and gorgeous. Migraine headaches are one of the most common illnesses in the world, affecting around 1 billion people. The cause of migraines is unknown, but a possible, if not likely suspect, is food. And according to the American Migraine Foundation, maintaining a healthy diet and learning how to understand food triggers can help keep migraines at bay. Another possible suspect is coffee. And while a little bit of caffeine can help relieve migraine headaches, drinking 3 or more cups of Joe a day can increase migraine attacks. This phenomenon of migraine treatments actually being a cause of migraines is also true about caffeine and pain relievers, as well as prescription migraine medications. Even too frequent use of plain old Tylenol can induce migraine symptoms. To treat a migraine without meds, try applying an ice pack to your forehead or scalp. The cold from the ice will constrict the flow of blood and reduce the throbbing sensation, providing at least temporary relief from migraine pain. And nutritional supplements can help prevent migraine headaches, especially magnesium, B vitamins, and omega-3 essential fatty acids. If you're a woman thinking about hormone replacement therapy, you should know that while it's often thought of as promoting female youthfulness, in reality, estrogen is as much a molecule of inflammation, fibrosis, and disease as it is a hormone of femininity. Still, while estrogen replacement has been linked to toxicity and side effects, many women do find relief from the symptoms of menopause and aging when they start an HRT program. If that's you and you're wary of not using estrogen, you might want to consider using progesterone instead. Like estrogen, progesterone can help reduce the sweats and hot flashes associated with menopause, but it's essentially non-toxic and opposes many of the side effects of estrogen. It's anti-inflammatory, prevents fibroids and cysts, and it helps burn fat. And progesterone is bone building, enhances libido, and supports thyroid functioning too. If you do decide to use estrogen therapy, never use it without progesterone. The ratio of these two important hormones is kept balanced in the body, and using oral or topical progesterone can help minimize the risks of estrogen toxicity. Inflammation is a protective response that occurs on 2 different scales. Macro-inflammation happens after a large part of the body is traumatized, such as a sprained ankle or a broken arm. Much more insidious is micro-inflammation, which shows up at the tiny levels of the cell. And while imperceptible, at least at first, it's the kind of inflammation that's associated with chronic disease. The most significant cause is what we eat, especially high-fat and high-sugar foods, although even a quality meal can induce a micro-inflammatory response. The best way to avoid postprandial inflammation is to ingest fewer calories. The word calorie itself is derived from the Latin word for heat, a hallmark sign of the inflammatory response. Light exercise after eating can help. Because obesity magnifies the postprandial inflammatory response, losing weight is important. Starting off meals with a cup of yogurt can help dampen postprandial inflammation. Martin Luther said, "Beer is made by men, but wine is made by God." The grape libation's calming qualities have been considered a gift from the divine. Wine is also one of nature's best sources of a plant chemical called resveratrol, revered for its anti-stress properties. Resveratrol is found in reds, especially the ones derived from thick skinned grapes like Malbecs and Pinot Noirs. According to researchers, resveratrol works by blocking the production of anxiety-inducing brain chemicals. It's also been shown to prolong lifespan, boosting activity of the mitochondria, the cell's energy supplier. And it's protective against age-related diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. It has cardiovascular health benefits too. Scientists credit it as the source of the famous French paradox. Despite their high intake of butter, cheese, and other saturated fats and cholesterol, the French have historically had far lower death rates associated with heart diseases than Americans. When enjoyed in moderation, wine can be a pleasurable part of a long, healthy life. Arguably the most functional chemical in your body. Yet to the average patient and his physician, the only thing it represents is clogged arteries, heart disease, aging, and death. Despite what most people think of cholesterol, which exists as various chemical forms including estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, DHEA, and vitamin D, at least 50% of heart attack victims have normal levels of this misunderstood molecule. If you're worried about or you have heart disease, your best strategy, treat yourself like a diabetic. Reduce your intake of sweets and other starches and take advantage of nutrition to help keep blood sugar and cholesterol under control and to keep your heart healthy. Sulfur is especially important. Use MSM sulfur and enjoy sulfur-rich foods including fish, eggs, as well as onions, garlic, and cruciferous veggies. You'll lose weight, prevent damage to your extremities and your eyes, improve energy levels, and protect your heart safely, naturally, without the toxicity of drug intervention. CBD is not marijuana or THC or any other high-inducing drug. It's derived from omega essential fatty acids and much more similar in chemistry and effects to an herbal over-the-counter headache remedy than to a psychoactive stoner substance. CBD taken orally in tinctures or edibles can help relieve anxiety, induce relaxation and sleep, and stabilize blood sugar. It's a great pain reliever, anti-inflammatory, and one of its most well-studied uses is in treating neurological disorders like epilepsy and multiple sclerosis. In fact, there are very few health challenges that won't improve at least symptomatically when CBD is used correctly, and that includes topical CBD for skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis. CBD can be especially effective in treating acne. When applied to the skin, it can help heal blemishes and calm down cells that make skin oils. That's a lot of benefits from a non-toxic plant molecule that's identical to a natural biochemical, and it's why CBD has quickly developed a reputation as a modern, botanical, non-drug version of aspirin. Collagen, the plentiful protein, is responsible for the strength of bones and blood vessels, supports brain and heart health, and most famously, keeps our skin smooth, youthful, and wrinkle-free. As we get older, it degrades, its production decreases, and the end result can be CDA, collagen deficiency aging, which shows up as pretty much everything we hate, including thinning, crow's feet, turkey neck, stretch marks, loss of elasticity, poor wound healing, brittle hair, and fingernails. Topical strategies can be helpful. The best way to prevent collagen deficiency aging and stimulate the production of this vital protein is to leverage nutrition in food and supplements. Eating collagen is important. It's found abundantly in various foodstuffs, including bone broth, fresh fish, and eggs. And to make sure to prevent CDA, you'd be wise to supplement collagen peptides, zinc, and sulfur. Copper is critical for strengthening collagen, and ingestion of high hyaluronic acid can activate collagen production. Make sure you're using vitamin C. Without it, collagen deficiency aging is guaranteed. Life has gotten really serious with a viral pandemic, economic turmoil, and social chaos. A great strategy for dealing is to not allow thoughts colored by a non-existent past and an imaginary future to take over our experience of the present. And that's what a meditation practice is all about. The benefits of meditation are not only mental, the ancient practice is also important for the immune system. It turns on antibodies and it activates regions in the brain that are associated with the immune response. According to research from Harvard Medical School, meditators experience positive changes related to stress, inflammation, wound healing, and overall immunity, with especially beneficial shift in genetic markers related to antiviral activity. Improved cellular aging, as well as a reduction in the levels of amyloid proteins, a predominant marker associated with Alzheimer's dementia. The best way to begin a meditation practice, just begin. Start off with 60 seconds first thing in the morning, add a minute or so every week. And at the end of a mere 6 months, you'll be up to 30 minutes a day, and you'll be able to say that you are an experienced meditator. The most common of all skin complaints is dryness, technically called xerosis. And though the condition can be uncomfortable, most of us don't think of it as a health problem, which is unfortunate because xerosis is a significant predictor of other skin diseases like eczema and psoriasis, and it's also associated with nutritional deficiencies and digestive issues. While most people use moisturizers, all those can do is coat the surface of the skin with product made mostly of wax and oils and water, and because they tend to suppress skin chemistry, so-called moisturizers have a long-term drying effect effect, assuring your skin will never really get better and that you'll be using them for the rest of your life. To truly eliminate skin dryness, you'll have to use nutrition. Generous amounts of essential fats, especially omega-6s, can help. Vitamin A is important, and so is supporting digestive health with probiotics and digestive enzymes. Eggs, fish, avocados, spirulina, and whey protein are all good skin moisturizing foods, and topically, retinol and fat-soluble vitamin C and alpha-hydroxy acids can stimulate the production of moisture factors. Unhealthy as they can be, they're also, in the right form, an incredibly important part of good health. Fats can be anti-pain and anti-inflammatory, play a key role in mood, health of the brain, and the nerves. Cannabinoids, appreciated for millennia for their relaxing and calming properties, work their magic by virtue of their ability to interact with both dietary and bodily fats, and low-fat diets have been shown to have a negative effect on mood. Bad fats are processed, fried, especially deep fried, and these days most egregious, artificial butters called plant butters that purport to be a health food, but in reality are essentially a rebranded version of margarine. Remember when that was considered a health food? Because of their inherent instability, it's important to enjoy fatty foods as unprocessed as possible. Avocados are good, soft-boiled, poached, or even raw eggs. Sushi eaten occasionally contributes valuable fat, as does fresh, whole, real butter. Grains and seeds have good fats too, but they're a little more reactive than some other fatty foods, and gluten in grains and lectins in seeds can cause all kinds of health issues if you're susceptible. With millions of Americans now working from home, the risks of mindless eating have become especially challenging. If you find yourself chowing down on various foods without really needing or perhaps even wanting them, try these techniques to keep mindless munching to a minimum. 1. Chew food slowly and deliberately. We eat fast when it's easy, and the more work and intention we have to apply to our eating behavior, the more difficult it will be to do it mindlessly. 2. Pay closer attention to your stomach than to your taste buds. What you'll notice is the digestive tract is not diluted by deliciousness. Its intelligence is based less on indulgence and more on need, and it's likely you'll be eating a lot less. 3. Practice presence with the sensuality of your food, amplifying flavors and shapes in your mouth and in your mind. Try it with a raisin. Look closely at the details of the tiny fruit, and then when you pop it into your mouth, instead of immediately chewing and swallowing, let it sit. Try keeping it there for 60 seconds or so. Enjoy its flavor before swallowing. You'll be amazed at how satisfying one little raisin can be. Messed up gallbladder can cause a wide range of unpleasant symptoms, including serious pain. Ultimately, around 500,000 of them are taken out of Americans' bodies every year. When the gallbladder is not doing its job, fat processing can suffer. It can cause intestinal problems and nutritional deficiencies. Fatty vitamins, essential fatty acids, and minerals, especially calcium, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. Also required for the utilization of protein and carbs, insufficiencies can lead to putrefaction, basically rotting of these macronutrients, which can cause all kinds of intestinal misery. The classic signs of gallbladder dysfunction are nausea, gas, bloating, irritable bowel syndrome, pain in the upper right abdomen after meals, as well as fatty or floating stools. If that sounds familiar and you're thinking of gallbladder surgery, ask your physician about trying the Dr. Andreas Moritz gallbladder flush before having yours removed. The entire protocol is clearly explained in Dr. Andrea Moritz's comprehensive and easily available book, The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush. The lymph vessels are a poorly appreciated compartment of the circulatory system that moves fatty nutrients and toxins through the body the way the arteries, veins, and capillaries move blood. However, unlike blood, lymphatic fluids don't have the heart to propel them. Instead, the fluids flow via the contracting and relaxing action of the musculature during activity and exercise. When lymph isn't moving through the body smoothly, it can disrupt detoxification and delivery of nutrients, resulting in skin problems, including acne, cysts, and boils, heart issues, decreased immunity, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and diseases of the female reproductive system. Jumping up and down on a rebounder is a great way to improve lymphatic circulation. Hanging upside down on an inversion device can be effective. And you can do lymphatic massage simply by pressing on lymphatic points, which are concentrated along either side of the spine, on the upper chest, belly area, and the lower back, and massaging each upwards for 5 to 15 seconds using a circular motion. And my favorite way to push lymph around the body is to move the chest's respiratory muscles with slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. Alzheimer's disease is officially a public health crisis. It affects over 10% of all adults over the age of 65 and 33% of those over 85. Last year, $200 billion was spent on the disease, and over the next 30 years, it's expected to cost over $20 trillion more. Worst of all, despite decades and dollars spent on finding cures, i.e. drugs, exactly 0 effective medical strategies have been developed to address the problem. So while it's unlikely that we'll ever reverse or prevent Alzheimer's with a prescription, there are things we can do on our own. One of the simplest and most important of brain health strategies is simply to eat less. Individuals with dementia tend to ingest more calories, and reduced caloric intake enhances the brain's capacity for learning and repair. Use nutritional supplements, especially brain-supporting omega-3s, fatty vitamins A, D, and E, selenium, and zinc, and go ketogenic, enjoying more eggs, fish, butters. Fresh vegetable juices can make it easier to cut daily calories without a struggle. Topical antibiotics like clindamycin and erythromycin are still the go-to dermatologist's choice for treating the rashes, cysts, and blemishes associated with acne. They also come replete with a host of side effects that can even be life-threatening. They can lead to microbial resistance. Topical antibiotics can make it difficult for the healthy, normal bacterial skin denizen to contribute their benefits with keeping inflammation controlled, encouraging wound healing, and acting as a natural protective barrier to allergens and environmental assaults. While acne isn't really a topical issue, if you're looking for something you can put right on acneic skin, you want to use hydroxy acids, especially salicylic and glycolic. Whether applied in cleansers or toners, these hydroxy acids can kill acne-causing bacteria just as effectively as antibiotics. Unlike their prescription colleagues, they won't cause bacterial resistance, actually improve the appearance of acne by dissolving excess oils, loosening plugged pores, and exfoliating dead cells, leaving even the most pimple-prone skin soft, smooth, and healthy looking. The act of smiling activates nerve cells and turns on the production of the brain's biochemicals of happiness as well as good health. Oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin are all released when a smile flashes across our faces. The very same brain chemicals that are released when we eat sugar, fall in love, have an orgasm, complete a project, or are just relaxed and content. You don't even need to be in a good mood to take advantage of smile-induced wellness chemistry. Just holding your mouth upward in a smiling position can turn on your happy hormones. And of course, smiling makes you look more beautiful and attractive too. Anxiety is the psychological manifestation of fear. It's what fear feels like. The interesting thing about the chronic anxiety issues that affect over 40 million Americans is that in addition to being activated psychologically as a result of circumstances, they can also be initiated from the physical body itself. Low blood sugar, reduced oxygen, and toxins from the digestive system are all biochemical phenomena that can cause anxiety. That means we can address anxiety from 2 directions, outside in and inside out. The former involves eliminating whatever is causing our distress, our jobs, bills, relationships. These kinds of strategies can be helpful, but because circumstances are always changing, they're never going to be permanently effective. On the other hand, inside out involves adjusting our internal chemistry and physiology. When we eat less sugar, slow deep breathe, or eliminate problem foods, our brain will read the changes in the biochemistry triggered by these techniques, and anxiety will subside. Just changing our posture can decrease anxiety. Rosacea means redness, and that's the classic sign of the skin condition that affects up to 20% of Americans. Sometimes it's associated with acne and oily skin, and it can involve the eyes too, but for most people, the primary symptoms are facial inflammation, warmth, and dilated blood vessels on the cheek and nose. While the dermatological treatment for rosacea involves antibiotics and steroids, for the most part, the skin condition is completely reversible at home and does not require medical intervention. The vast majority of rosacea patients have digestive intolerances and food allergies, and as with all health challenges, skin or otherwise, these are the first places to work. Charting in a diary what's eaten against symptoms is helpful for assessing and then eliminating food triggers. Tomatoes, grains, dairy, and eggs can be especially problematic. Sugars and starches can be culprits. Peanuts and bananas are also rosacea-causing suspects. Rosacea patients can also benefit from probiotic supplements, and using digestive enzymes, betaine HCl, apple cider vinegar, or Pharmacist compounded HCl drops at mealtime can provide significant anti-rosacea benefits. Compromised ability to process sugar affects tens of millions of Americans and is a major cause of accelerated aging. And almost everyone over the age of 45 is going to be dealing with some degree of it. There are lots of ways to prevent dysglycemia, including eating low carb and high fiber, going ketogenic, and calorie restriction. Exercise plays a significant role in stabilizing blood sugar, and there are wonderful nutritional supplements, including vitamins A, B1, B3, and the minerals chromium, zinc, and magnesium, to name a few. One of the most important dysglycemic drivers is deficiencies in the anti-aging biochemical glutathione. Not only can a lack of this critical molecule, known as the body's master detoxifier, lead to dysglycemia and eventually diabetes, but even worse, diabetes can cause deficiencies in glutathione, resulting in a vicious cycle of disease and deficiency. To break the cycle, consider supplementing with glutathione building blocks, which can be found in high-protein foods and supplemental protein powders. Also, homemade bone broth. You can use cartilage capsules readily available in health food stores and on the web, which contain glutathione components. There are many ways to leverage good health. The body has lots of built-in healing mechanisms, and it's constantly repairing and regenerating. Nutrition is important, of course, so is respiration. Oxygen and carbon dioxide both have a key role in building strength and vitality. Exercise also plays an important part, and so does relaxation. Then there are the mental and emotional links to wellness, and of all the ways we think and feel, nothing is more important when it comes to the markers of good health than feeling grateful and thankful for all that we have. Not only do people who practice gratitude report fewer physical ailments, particularly when it comes to cardiovascular health, they're also, according to a 2012 study published in the journal Personality, more likely to take care of their body. One of the most important ways to leverage the power of gratitude is to say grace before meals. The word grace comes from the Latin term for an act of thanks. This sense of thankfulness engendered by prayers of gratitude improves salivary secretions, digestive juices, and intestinal absorption of nutrients. Eggs are an indisputable nutritional powerhouse, but these days they come in a confusing array of choices, and it can be hard to decide what kind to buy. Organic eggs come from hormone-free hens raised without vaccines and antibiotics, which is always a good idea. Omega-3 eggs are from chickens fed flax seeds and fish, and vegetarian eggs are laid by birds fed grains and seeds and kept indoors. Eggs can also be categorized by how the chickens that lay them are raised. Conventional eggs come from factory farm chickens that are given pharmaceuticals. They can be brown or white, depending on the breed of bird they come from, but either way, this is the worst type of egg to buy. Cage-free eggs are from chickens who are able to roam, although not necessarily outside. Warehouses are considered cage-free, and cage-free birds don't necessarily need to spend any time in the great outdoors. The best choice of eggs are going to be labeled pasture-raised, and these come from birds free to roam in pasture and enjoy their natural and ideal nutrient-dense diet of plants and bugs. Everyone needs some sweetness in their lives, but the problem is most of us get way too much, at least in terms of what we're ingesting. The average American indulges in over 150 pounds of processed sugar every year and another 20 to 30 pounds of high fructose corn syrup. The problem with sugar, at least one of them, is its addictive quality. Because it's so quickly processed and linked to brain pleasure chemistry, it's easy to get hooked and eat too much. And with their easy access and inexpensive cost, sweeteners in their various forms have cemented their place in our lives as a simple enjoyment that anyone can afford anytime. If you're looking for sugar but want some nutritional value to go with it, look no further than the sweet potato. The root veggies, sometimes called yams, are not only a cornucopia of nutrition, featuring beta-carotene, B vitamins, and electrolytes, as well as natural plant steroids and antioxidants, they're also delightfully sweet. Cook them with butter, or add a few slices to your favorite smoothie, or just slice them up and enjoy them raw. And try mixing them with cinnamon to increase nutritional value and bump up the flavor. If you're dealing with acne or the occasional pimple, you've probably used or heard of benzoyl peroxide, an active ingredient considered the go-to topical for addressing blemishes. Unfortunately, benzoyl peroxide is somewhat aggressive, and according to the FDA, it can potentially cause life-threatening reactions, severely irritated and inflamed skin. Even worse, studies show that the over-the-counter drug enhances the formation of tumors, particularly in combination with sun exposure. If you decide to use benzoyl peroxide, you might want to consider some protective nutrition, especially vitamins C and E, and an amino acid derivative called NAC. You can even add these nutrients directly to your favorite benzoyl peroxide containing product. Or even better, you can use salicylic acid, a natural aspirin-like molecule that works just as well as benzoyl peroxide without the toxicity, although overdoing it can still cause some irritation. Salicylic acid is readily available in creams, gels, and toners that can be easily purchased in drugstores or on the internet. One of the most toxic chemicals our bodies have to deal with on a daily basis is fluoride, both from municipal water supplies and toothpaste. Fluoride accumulates in the body, and chronic exposure to this powerful element, which is the most electrically disruptive atom on the periodic table, is associated with chronic fatigue and headaches, reduced IQ, UTIs, anxiety, depression, and digestive disorders, among other symptoms. To minimize your exposure to fluoride, you can drink bottled or filtered water. You can use a home fluoride filter water pitcher, readily available on the internet. And you can even get a fluoride filter for your shower as well. Make sure you're using fluoride detoxification supplements, especially vitamin C, selenium, and sulfur. You can also use tamarind toothpaste. Extracts of this culinary fruit have been shown to help prevent fluoride uptake and deposition in the bone and in the pineal gland. For all the hullabaloo about jellyfish, silk protein, ginkgo biloba, and other exotic nutrients that supposedly enhance cognition, nothing beats the natural brain molecules called phospholipids, known as the fats of intelligence for improving mental health and functioning. Phospholipids are insulating chemicals and critical for the development of the myelin coating on nerve cells and for promoting the smooth conduction of neural electricity. Phospholipids are also modified to make ACH, the brain's most important learning molecule, and as a bonus, phospholipids help reduce levels of homocysteine, a major culprit in the development of brain illnesses, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. The best source of phospholipids is lecithin, available as capsules or powder in most health food stores. As we age, taking 3 or 4 capsules or a teaspoonful of the powder daily is a great way to keep the brain and memory in tip-top shape. You can also eat lecithin. Eggs, beans, dairy, and organ meats are particularly high in this important brain health substance. One of the more unpleasant health challenges a woman can face is a condition called PCOS, which include menstrual issues, oily skin and acne, weight gain, hypothyroidism, and hair thinning, as well as increases in body and facial hair. There are 2 major factors that influence the development of PCOS. The first is blood sugar, and PCOS patients should always treat themselves like diabetics, whether or not they've been diagnosed. Staying away from processed and high sugar foods as calorie restriction and the ketogenic diet can help, and using blood sugar stabilizing nutritional supplements, especially the B vitamins, chromium, zinc, selenium, and sulfur. The second key component is estrogen, and supporting its breakdown in the liver and clearance from the intestine is critical. Vegetable fiber can support the elimination and processing of estrogens. Enjoying cruciferous veggies like cabbage, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts daily can be very helpful. And in addition to a well-rounded nutritional supplement program, omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D help control inflammation and support the actions of estrogen. Although now rare, throughout history, no health condition has been more terrifying and deadly than scurvy. But since we figured out that just 60 milligrams a day of vitamin C could prevent the gruesome symptoms of the disease, which causes deterioration and decay of the connective tissue and ultimately kills its victims through massive internal hemorrhaging, these days, you don't hear much about scurvy. Unfortunately, while you only need a meager dose of vitamin C to prevent full-blown scurvy, it takes a lot more to completely eradicate its milder symptoms, which include lethargy, osteoporosis, arthritis, gum disease, poor wound healing, crepey skin, and wrinkles. Sounds a lot like plain old aging. And that means that of all the youth-promoting things you could ever do, nothing beats taking 1 to 5 grams of ordinary ascorbic acid powder every day. Use divided doses. Too much all at once can cause some digestive distress. I like mixing the powder with lemon water and sipping on it slowly. Putting it on your skin too. Daily application of fat-soluble vitamin C can help prevent and reverse skin aging, keeping your body's largest organ firm, resilient, and youthful. Skin tags are unsightly but non-dangerous growths that occur on the face and body, typically on the eyelids, upper chest, and underarm area. Doctors call them acrocordones. They affect men and women equally, and it's estimated that almost half of middle-aged or older adults have at least one. The most important cause of skin tags is insulin resistance. If you notice the tags are appearing or they're showing up with more frequency, you're probably losing control over your blood sugar, and it's time to treat yourself like a diabetic using dietary strategies. Skin tags can also be excised in a medical office with scissors or by burning or freezing, although if blood sugar issues aren't corrected, they're likely to return. As long as they're not located in the eye area, acrocordones can be safely removed at home. Simply make a protective circular donut around the skin tag with a healing or antibiotic cream and dab a bit of 5% retinol gel or a 40 to 70% solution of glycolic acid on the loose skin. Do this 2 or 3 times daily, and within a few days, the tag will begin to darken and ultimately it'll drop off. We all know that we need to eat right for good health, but as it turns out, the order that we enjoy different types of foods in can make a big difference in how well we benefit from what we ingest. For example, even though it is traditional to start meals off with bread, it's much healthier for our digestive systems to start meals off with a salad or some kind of fresh vegetables. There's several reasons for this. For one thing, starting off with veggies delivers fiber, which has a filling effect that can act as an appetite suppressant and make it easier to reduce calorie intake. Secondly, if you begin your meals with the sweeter, stronger, more aggressive tastes of processed foods, the subtle flavors of plants will be less compelling. Thirdly, veggies are loaded with enzymes that stimulate bile and hydrochloric acid and other digestive juices, and when they hit our stomach first, they'll facilitate the digestion of the enzymeless and sometimes dead foods to follow. And there's something psychologically powerful about beginning with vegetables. You'll find you're much less likely to indulge in less healthy foods after you've given the body something you know is good for you. Despite our collective fear of cholesterol, as it turns out, the connection between its levels in the blood and poor health, cardiovascular or otherwise, is less than convincing. People with high cholesterol can live long lives, and people with low cholesterol have heart disease. What is true is cholesterol is arguably the most important biochemical in the body. It stimulates healing, and it's the source of the hormones of youth and fertility. Cholesterol also keeps the skin hydrated, soft, and youthful. What is also true is cholesterol levels go up when blood sugar goes up. So if you really want to lower your cholesterol levels, instead of statin drugs, stay away from sweets and high carbs, and use foods and nutrients that help lower blood sugar. Fibery vegetables are important, and the minerals zinc and chromium as well. And nothing, including statin drugs, has more cholesterol-lowering properties than vitamin B3 or niacin. Cortisol, the body's stress hormone, is secreted cyclically. The amount of it that's in the blood is highest in the morning and lowest at night. This daily increase and decrease in cortisol secretion is a powerful control factor for all biological processes, and many physicians believe that breakdowns in these regular up and down oscillations, called circadian rhythms, can elevate the risk of disease and accelerated aging. Since daily cortisol levels naturally spike somewhere between 4 to 6 a.m., it's best to try to wake up as close to the sunrise as possible. Waking up at the same time every morning can have a rhythm stabilizing effect, and taking a walk and enjoying first daylight can be especially helpful. It's a great way to reset our daily cortisol secretion cycle. Because cortisol levels begin to drop as the sun sinks slowly into the west, we should start to wind down activities as the late afternoon moves into early evening and begin relaxing pursuits like easy conversations, light reading, and enjoyable socializing. If you're lucky enough to be in nature, watching the sunset can be particularly effective for harmonizing the body's circadian cortisol rhythm. Our bodies are made up of 4 types of biological materials, tissue. While nerve and epithelial tissue electrify and cover respectively, the bulk of our body is made up of connective and muscle tissue that are woven together to form a unified whole. When we get older and our bones become brittle and our muscles weaken and our joints break down and our skin thins, for the most part, it is this connective muscle tissue complex that's breaking down, and learning how to maintain its hefty, robust nature is the very essence of anti-aging. There's lots of nutritional strategies for keeping our flesh robots strong and healthy. While all the essential vitamins and minerals are critical, nothing is more important than plain old vitamin C. You can think of the C as standing for connective tissue, and the anti-scurvy vitamin is renowned for its beef-building benefits. Vitamin C comes in various forms, but all you really need for maximum anti-aging is ascorbic acid. A good daily dose is 1 to 2 grams of the powder, but many people benefit from taking as much as 10 grams a day. Make sure you divide your total daily dose up into smaller doses. Taking too much all at once can cause some digestion. The humble potato, the most widely consumed vegetable in the United States. It's a nutritional dynamo containing an abundant blend of antioxidants, lots of vitamins, as well as fiber, and even a bit of protein. And despite the fact that they're loaded with carbs, if you're trying to get skinny, potatoes can play an important part of an effective weight loss program. The potato diet is pretty darn easy to follow. Basically, all you do is eat potatoes. It doesn't matter how you prepare them, but for maximum pound-dropping benefit, you want to eat your potatoes cold. You can add a bit of salt, but no butter, no chives or sour cream or anything else, just plain old potatoes. You can eat as much potatoes and as many potatoes as you want, but you'll find that you're going to be full and satisfied after just 1 or maybe 2 medium-sized ones. As far as liquids go, all that you're allowed to drink on the potato diet is water, plain tea, or black coffee. The only caution is potatoes are nightshade vegetables, so you want to be careful if you're dealing with an autoimmune disease or an inflammatory disease of any kind. But if not, when the potato diet is done correctly, you can lose a pound or more a day with no decrease in muscle tone. Nearly half of Americans will make resolutions to change a behavior this year, and almost all of them will fail. According to U.S. News & World Report, 80% of new resolutions will be mere memories by February. If that sounds familiar, you might want to examine the mindset you're bringing to the New Year's resolution table. Resolutions fail because they're usually about a behavior, which is always the end result of a thought process. To permanently eliminate a behavior, we have to first change the way we think. For example, you have an addiction you want to end. Say you're hooked on cigarettes, and your New Year's resolution is that you want to stop. If your smoking is a coping or control mechanism for a mindset of depression or anxiety, it's going to be near impossible to eliminate the habit. On the other hand, if you resolve to deal with the depression or the anxiety that is the cause of the addiction, it's going to be much easier to quit. The key to an effective New Year's resolution is not to make it about a behavior, but rather about the cause of the behavior, which is always rooted in mindset. Resolve to change the way you think first, and then the behavior that results from the thinking will change accordingly. After surgery, the blood has a tendency to clot. Likewise, strokes and arrhythmias increase the risks of blood clotting. This is why standard post-surgical stroke and heart disease protocols include blood thinners. However, this class of drugs has a well-deserved reputation for toxicity, side effects, and even death, and physicians and pharmacists know that anticoagulant drugs are the most common cause of adverse drug reactions. One way to mitigate the likelihood of anticoagulant toxicity is to take smaller doses, and that's just what you'll be able to do if you include some simple nutritional strategies in your medication regimen. Not only that, but improving blood flow with nutrition will also provide detoxification, anti-aging, and overall wellness benefits. Omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin E can help reduce blood thickness. So can fucoidan, a component of seaweed that's available as a nutritional supplement. And glucosamine, well known for its anti-arthritis properties, also has anticoagulant effects. Even plain water, maybe a gallon a day, can have significant blood thinning benefits. If you're feeling anxious or depressed, try watching videos of kittens or puppies. In fact, looking at any critter that's a tiny version of something larger can turn on the brain's happiness chemicals. We call these beings cute, and scientists refer to the phenomena as baby edema. They describe it as the appearance of any living creature having a big head, round face, large, low-lying eyes on a small body, and they're discovering that observing it activates the same pleasure centers in the brain that hooks us on chocolate and wine. Japanese researchers found that observing it can boost your mood as well as concentration by tapping into the same chemical reward systems in the brain that makes cocaine addictive. What's more, they've accumulated scientific evidence that viewing cute things improves attentional focus and performance in tasks that require carefulness. Researchers even discussed the possibility that cute could unify humanity. By changing the way we see each other and the world we live in, they say that cuteness can stimulate caretaking behaviors and cause us to view each other with a greater sense of empathy and commonality. It's been called the king of herbs, and for good reason. The aloe vera plant, one of the most important healing species in the botanical world, is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-tumor as well. The secret to aloe vera's miracle-like health properties is in the gel. Squishy flesh inside the leaf is a rich source of medicinal carbohydrates that have a dramatic effect on the healing process. You can use your aloe right on wounded skin. Just break open a leaf, let the inner gel react with the air for a minute or two, and apply directly on burns and minor cuts. It also makes a skin-friendly, skin-healthy aftershave. Aloe is great applied to the skin after sun exposure. Even if you don't have a burn, you'll help prevent sun damage, and aloe vera makes an ideal home companion. It's a handsome plant with spiky green leaves aligned in a crown-like circle. The king of herbs even looks like royalty. It's easy to care for. It thrives in the desert, after all. You'll have a good-looking first-aid houseplant that's as functional as it is attractive. The Bible says that the life of the flesh is in the blood, and there's some very good reasons for that. It's the blood that delivers oxygen and nutrients to cells and cleans out their environment. Blood also generates an electrical charge as it moves around the body. Without effective circulation, the movement of electricity weakens, toxicity accumulates, and cells gradually starve and suffocate, leading to hypertension, heart disease, chronic nose bleeding, arterial blockages, and blood cancer. In fact, all illness and ultimately aging and death can be thought of as a function of sticky blood. In order to keep the blood circulating effectively, regular exercise is important. Moving the muscles helps support the heart's pumping action. You want to avoid problem foods and reduce intake of processed and refined carbs, as digestive toxicity and elevated blood sugar are major sources of blood viscosity. Vitamin E and omega-3 fatty acids from fish, flax, and chia seeds have blood lubricating benefits. And nothing beats oxygen for fluidizing the blood, so practicing slow, deep breathing techniques is a must for eliminating illness and promoting longevity. When most of us think of health and youthfulness, we tend to focus on the physical body. And if we're dealing with autoimmunity, cancer, heart disease, or just getting old too fast, it seems logical to focus on the parts of us that appear out of whack. If we only focus physically, we're missing out on addressing breakdown and losing leverage over the condition of our body. These non-physical dimensions of health are our mental, emotional, and spiritual natures, and each is linked to our physical body through biochemistry. From a mental standpoint, health involves thinking correct thoughts. Positivity and optimism generate neurochemicals of positivity and optimism, and that means improved healing, better immunity, and slowing down the aging process. Likewise, emotions of love and forgiveness activate peptides and steroids associated with improvement in all the markers of health. And from a spiritual perspective, nothing is more important than our relationships to each other, nature, and the divine force, however you describe it, for keeping the body healthy, resilient, and youthful, Massage therapists know that it's not unusual for clients to release and re-experience emotional wounds while they're on the massage table, sometimes bawling their eyes out as they're getting worked on. That's because we store traumatic experiences in our muscles and connective tissue. When we're young, we learn to tense and contract our musculoskeletal systems for protection and to avoid feeling discomfort. And by the time we're adults, and progressively as we age, all that tension can cause pain, movement issues, accelerated aging, and disease. If you're experiencing any of these signs of poor health, first you want to learn to be aware of where the tension is in your body. Then you want to breathe into those areas by simultaneously placing your attention on your breath and on the part of the body you want to soften up. The lower and upper back and shoulders are good places to start. We hold a lot of tension in the belly, and if we learn to breathe into the solar plexus area, we can support digestion and relaxation. And you can slow down the signs of skin aging by breathing into the facial muscles, especially around your eyes and mouth. Everyone knows they should be drinking lots of water, but what is it about the universal solvent that makes it so important? Water helps dilute the blood, which not only means better nutrition and detoxification for all the body's cells, it also means more blood to the brain. That makes drinking 3 or 4 glasses of water first thing in the morning one of the best ways to begin your day. If you want to really jumpstart your metabolism, make sure the water is cold. The body burns calories to warm up cold water, and that upregulates biochemistry and metabolism. And unlike drinking warm water, which has relaxing benefits, drinking frigid H2O has a stimulating effect. Water also facilitates chemical reactions and improves the flow of electrical energy, and when factoring in its blood thinning properties, it makes drinking a gallon of water a day one of the most important things you can do for the cardiovascular system. Keep in mind, with all that liquid, you're going to be urinating a lot and losing water-soluble nutrients, so make sure you're supplementing with generous doses of the B vitamins, vitamin C, as well as potassium, magnesium, and other electrolytes. Many people know that iodine plays an important part in the functioning of the thyroid and in the production of thyroid hormone, but what's less recognized is the role the nutritional element plays in breast health. Iodine deficiencies are thought to be at least partially responsible for the increasing incidence of cancers of the breast, and the ocean mineral is also important for keeping them fibroid-free. However, while the thyroid can turn iodine supplements into usable iodine, the breasts don't have the same enzyme chemistry to effectively make that conversion. So if you want breast tissue to have iodine, you want to make sure you're eating food iodine, which is easier for the mammary glands to utilize. Because iodine is mostly found in the ocean, you'll need to be ingesting lots of seafoods with this underappreciated nutrient. Of course, fish and shellfish are good sources, but if you're concerned about ocean toxicity, seaweed products like kelp and nori can be especially helpful and healthy. Not only do they contain bioavailable iodine, they're also packed with something called alginic acid, which is one of nature's most powerful detoxifiers of heavy metals and radioactive elements. Clean beauty, the philosophy of products and ingredients that are non-toxic, is a great idea. And it's wise to choose skincare that doesn't demonstrate toxicity. Clean is great, but the trick to designing a good skincare product and to choosing one includes more than just clean, it has to work too. That is, it has to change the health of the skin. So as a formulator, I describe the term differently. When I think of clean beauty, in addition to non-toxicity, I think of short ingredient lists that are composed of substances that are actually active in addition to being safe. From a healthcare perspective, it's just not smart to apply a cosmetic cocktail of dozens of different chemicals on your body, especially if they don't do anything to change the condition of your skin. When I think of clean beauty, I think of ingredients that can be taken into and used by skin cells, and that makes topical vitamins incredibly valuable. And when I think of clean beauty, I think of ingredients that are analogous to elements that are naturally found in the skin. Ingredients like cholesterol, essential fats, and esters that can provide beauty benefits that don't interfere with normal cellular processes. Residents of the Japanese island of Okinawa are famous for their long lives, having a life expectancy of almost 84 years, and there's several different things they do to slow down the aging process that we might want to consider. For one thing, they don't eat a lot. Calorie restriction, which has always been known to promote lifespan, is built into the Okinawan culture. They drink lots of green tea, which is packed with various essential and phytonutrients, including just the right amount of caffeine, which enhances healthy circulation in the heart and in the brain. They enjoy lots of good fats and salt. Fish is a major staple of the Okinawans' diets, so they're getting omega-3s, and Okinawans are big on miso and soy sauces, as well as various forms of seaweed and green leafy vegetables, all of which contain omega-6s, in addition to salt and other minerals. And Okinawans understand community. They form social networks made of lifelong friends that are dedicated to supporting the individual's social, financial, financial, health, and spiritual needs and interests, Okinawans know that members of social networks have less stress, more joy, and increased longevity. Probiotic supplements can be helpful for the digestive system, but recently some companies have extrapolated that knowledge to justify the marketing of probiotic skincare products. And it's certainly true that microbes are an important part of topical health, and when their world is disrupted by chlorinated water, soap, and cosmetic ingredients, the skin's overall health can suffer. Still, the numbers and types of bacteria on the skin are constantly in flux and dependent on skin pH, sebum, barrier health, and overall hydration. And while applying bacteria topically may provide some temporary benefit, what's more likely is every time you wash with soap and tap water or apply sunscreen or preservative-laced cosmetics, you're gonna be killing those microbes no matter how many critters you're depositing on your face. A better strategy is to make sure you're eating correctly. There's an important relationship between the bacteria in our intestine and our cutaneous ones. By enjoying fermented and fresh veggies and avoiding sugar and processed foods, you'll not only support the bacteria in the intestine, you'll be keeping the ones living on your skin healthy as well. Millions of Americans are all about their morning coffee, and they know that enjoying a freshly brewed cup can be one of life's greatest indulgences. And while the pick-me-up delivered by a cup of coffee is an undeniable pleasure, even better are the nutrients found in coffee, including antioxidants, magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins. Still, as many coffee drinkers are aware, too much caffeine can cause problems, including anxiety, disturbed sleep patterns, and abnormal heart rhythms. If that sounds familiar, but you still love a cup of joe, try occasionally replacing it with green tea. You'll still get caffeine, although 2/3 less, and lots of nutritional value, including vitamin C and E and natural fluoride for strengthening teeth. Most importantly, however, for people trying to reduce jitteriness and insomnia that caffeine can induce, are the relaxing substances found in green tea. It's a great source of 3 caffeine-balancing biochemicals, including the brain's most important calming substance, GABA, as well as theanine and YGYG, which in addition to their soothing effects, lower blood pressure, protect brain cells, and reduce cancer risks. Most people know that proteins are made of amino acids, and it's true that these molecules are linked together to form the body's 100,000 plus proteins like beads on a necklace. But what's less recognized is some of these amino acids have interesting properties and can be taken as therapeutic agents on their own. 2 spectacularly valuable aminos act as stimulants and are nearly caffeine-like in their ability to promote vitality and alertness. They're phenylalanine and its derivative tyrosine, and both are known for enhancing mood and motivation, as well as for their energizing effects. They're nearly equivalent and can be used interchangeably, although phenylalanine does have some pain-relieving properties that tyrosine doesn't. If you want to take advantage of phenylalanine or tyrosine, try using 50 to 100 milligrams a day of one or the other instead of your morning coffee. Like caffeine, they both work as a great pick-me-up, but don't take too much. While they're non-toxic, also like caffeine, overdosing can cause jitteriness, anxiety, or insomnia. There are many ways to leverage good health. The body has lots of built-in healing mechanisms, and it's constantly repairing and regenerating. Nutrition is important, of course, so is respiration. Both have a key role in building strength and vitality. Exercise also plays an important part, and so does relaxation. Then there are the mental and emotional links to wellness, and of all the ways we think and feel, nothing is more important when it comes to the markers of good health than feeling grateful and thankful for all that we have. Not only do people who practice gratitude report fewer physical ailments, particularly when it comes to cardiovascular health, they're also, according to a 2012 study published in the journal Personality, more likely to take care of their bodies. One of the most important ways to leverage the power of gratitude is to say grace before meals. The word grace comes from the Latin term for an act of thanks, and the sense of thankfulness engendered by prayers of gratitude improves salivary secretions, digestive juices, and intestinal absorption of nutrients. While the ketogenic diet may seem like a fad, it's actually a tried and true eating protocol that's been scientifically validated for over 100 years. First designed as a way to mimic the biochemistry associated with fasting, the originators of the ketogenic diet formulated the program to help reduce seizure disorders before the development of anti-seizure medication. These days, in addition to epileptics, the diet has benefits for the chronically ill, the obese, as well as athletes and the elderly. To eat ketogenically, make sure most, maybe 60 to 80% or so of your daily calories come from quality fat. Butter, eggs, and fatty fish are ideal sources. Carbs should be kept at 10 to 15% of calories and derived mostly from veggies and some fruits. And another 20% or so of calories should come from protein. And most importantly, keep your calories low, somewhere around 1,200 to 1,500 a day. Under Under conditions of high fat and low carbs and low calorie, the body's ability to generate clean energy is maximized, leading to improved immunity, enhanced heart and brain health, weight loss, reduced inflammation, and better overall quality of life. With the exception of the teeth and the bones, the body doesn't really use minerals very much. It uses elements, atoms like calcium, potassium, sodium, and iodine, and 76 or so others that you're going to find on the periodic table. What we call minerals are combinations of atoms and basically delivery systems for these essential elements. There's two main types of mineral delivery systems: those that come from hard rocks and those that come from microbes and from plants, which have processed these hard rock minerals into absorbable and electrically active elements that can effectively dissolve into the bloodstream. You can find these plant-derived minerals in supplements, and of course you can also find them in fruits and vegetables and other botanicals and plant materials, and you want to make sure that you're ingesting these daily. They're vital for good health, and they are the fundamental building blocks of life. We can all benefit from a little more energy, and while quality food and sunshine are important sources, ultimately the best energy on Earth comes from, well, the Earth, which is constantly streaming pieces of electricity called electrons. When we walk barefoot directly on the Earth, these electrons enter into our body. Scientists call this earthing, and in addition to amping up our biological energy, it can reduce inflammation and pain and help prevent chronic degenerative diseases. But we don't need scientists to tell us the biochemistry of why earthing works. All you need to know is walking barefoot in the sand or cool dirt connects you with nature, improves your health, and can just make you feel really good. Fruits are God's divine desserts. They do have sugar, but they also have fiber and nutrients to balance out all that sweetness and make it easier for the body to process. To max out on fruits flavors, don't refrigerate. Instead, ripen at room temperature. Cold destroys enzymes that enhance fruits' tastiness and can even cause nutrient loss. Over time, as your fruits are sitting on the shelf, their sugars will actually cook them heatlessly from the inside out, dissolving the cells, which will then release their liquid, making them softer and juicier. If you do refrigerate, think about using a high humidity crisper drawer, which is designed to trap moisture. Many fruits will maintain their juiciness in a humid environment. Still, while humidity in a fruit's environment can be a good thing, you want to make sure that the skins are kept dry. Wetness on the surface of fruits can promote the growth of mold, which will accelerate the rate of spoilage. Digestion depends on enzymes to do its work of breaking down food. While these chemicals are primarily found in our digestive systems, there are some plants that contain similar molecules. One of these is the tropical pineapple that contains something called bromelain, which functions like a protein-dissolving enzyme. Eating pineapple with protein-rich foods like seafood, meat, and eggs can support their processing in the stomach. And pineapple's enzymatic activity can also help speed up the healing process. Enjoy them pre- and post-surgical procedures, following chemical peels, or after trauma. While some bromelain is found in the pulp of the pineapple, most of it is found in the core, so don't toss it out. Cut it into chunks, keep them in the freezer, and throw one or two in a blender with protein powder, maybe an egg or two, and some almond milk for a yummy pain and inflammation reducing and digestive supporting smoothie. Despite all the attention we give to our skin, we don't really understand how it's put together, and most people will say they're dissatisfied with its appearance. Much like an iceberg, 90% of the skin is located underneath the surface in what is called the dermis. That's where the collagen lives, and when it breaks down, we see it as wrinkles, fine lines, and crepey skin. A great way to prevent or even reverse dermal aging is to make sure you're ingesting collagen building blocks called peptides. And one of the best sources is organic gelatin, which is easily available in health food stores or on the internet. Try making your own anti-wrinkle beverage by adding some to your morning coffee or tea. Up to 90% of the peptides you'll ingest will be absorbed and utilized by collagen-producing cells, helping to keep your skin looking younger and healthier from the inside out. And if you're pregnant, your gelatin beverage is a great way to prevent stretch marks too. Cold season is upon us, and one of the first things that you'll notice when you're starting to catch one is a certain sluggishness. If you just let go and let the body do what it's starting to do, you can end up with a cold that can take 3 or 4 or more days to clear out. To avoid the misery this year, get yourself a rebounder for $70 or so off the internet, and as soon as you feel like you're getting sick, jump up and down 1 or 2 minutes, do this for 2 or 3 sets, and several times over the course of a few hours. It'll help move the blood and the lymph and speed up the elimination of viruses and bacteria and their poisons. You can dodge a cold completely, and even if you don't, you can significantly shorten its duration. And rebounders make for a great low-impact daily exerciser for bones, muscles, and the cardiovascular system. One of the more troubling of beauty challenges are under-eye circles. To be clear, this is not a skin condition, but rather one of blood and fluids that involves poor circulation. The most likely suspects are food allergies and intolerances and liver and kidney issues. These can lead to sluggish blood flow that can show up as under-eye swelling, puffiness, and the appearance of pigmentation that we call under-eye circles. The best solution is to eliminate problem foods and support digestive health. You can also gently tap the under-eye area to improve the movement of circulatory fluids using gentle tapping with your index and middle fingers around your eyes. Then you can can press upwards and massage gently around the orbital and brow bones on either side of your nose. We hear it all the time, eat more vegetables. And yes, it's true, the vitamins and minerals that are found in plants are super important for the strength and vigor of the body, but it's not just our insides that benefit from phytonutrients. Plant nutrition is also important for the skin, and pigments and antioxidants play an especially significant role in protecting us from the sun. For maximum benefit, make sure to slightly steam your veggies and use butter. The heat and dairy fat will help release natural sugars, reducing bitterness, and they'll liberate the fatty phytonutrients, making it easier for you to absorb their anti-aging goodness. It's been called the hidden cause of all chronic illness, and a poorly functioning thyroid gland is always lurking behind autoimmunity, cancer, heart disease, movement disorders, and dementia, among other health challenges. Even relatively minor issues like hair loss, dry skin, brittle fingernails, and just plain old feeling lousy can be indicative of a thyroid problem. One of the most underappreciated thyroid boosting nutrients is zinc, and anyone who feels less than maximally healthy may be dealing with a deficiency in this essential mineral. Healthy or not, I suggest a daily dose of 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate, always taken with 2 to 4 milligrams of copper. One of my favorite nutritional supplements, and that's something called glucosamine. Most people know that glucosamine is important for arthritis, but did you know glucosamine is really important for your circulatory system? It helps build strong blood vessels, it's important for heart health, and it can help thin the blood too. Glucosamine is also great for your intestine, helps strengthen the intestinal wall. This can be especially important if you're dealing with leaky gut syndrome. And glucosamine is awesome for your skin. It helps turn on the production of collagen and can help fight and even reverse wrinkles. Use about 1,000 milligrams of glucosamine every day, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. Always take your glucosamine with vitamin C, and then look for glucosamine sulfate rather than glucosamine chloride or hydrochloride. In the most famous cuisines in the world, butter is a rock star, and for good reason. It's versatile, functional, and very tasty, especially when it's combined with salt or sugar or spices whose flavors are amplified by buttery fatty acids. One of those fatty acids is called butyrate, a super nutrient capable of preventing colon cancer, improving intestinal health, and calming down an anxious brain. Butyrate even acts like an appetite suppressant. But butter is more than butyrate. It's loaded with iodine, selenium, sulfur, and vitamin K, among other nutrients. You can make your own butter by just adding some cream into a blender, whipping at high speeds, and in 10 minutes or so, you'll have fresh butter and even a little buttermilk too. The next time you have a headache or your arthritis flares up, instead of reaching for the aspirin, consider munching on a handful of almonds. They're a great source of a chemical called salicin, which is converted into natural aspirin in the digestive tract. Other good sources of salicin include apples, apricots, cherries, and cucumbers, among other fruits and vegetables. You can also use these natural precursors to aspirin for skin health. Puree some apple chunks with a few slices of cucumber and a couple of cherries and some distilled water or alcohol, and you can make your own inexpensive, all-natural, skin-lightening, exfoliating, anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, anti-acne toner. Please note, fruits and vegetables tend to be higher in salicin before they fully ripen. Not all dementia is Alzheimer's disease, which is technically considered early onset dementia, but can begin as early as the mid-30s. Most dementia is of the Alzheimer's type and is associated with tangled nerves in the presence of amyloid fibers. The most important consideration for dealing with AD is blood sugar, and it's no accident that studies suggest that the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease are in a diabetic state. Many medical professionals consider Alzheimer's disease to be a type of diabetes and actually refer to it as type 3 diabetes, and therein lies a clue to prevention of this horrific health challenge. Change eating behavior, less sugar and insulin spiking foods, more veggies and fiber, and use sugar metabolizing minerals, chromium, vanadium, zinc, selenium, sulfur, as well as nutrients like vitamin C and the B vitamins. Keep calories down, eat ketogenic, and make sure you're using essential fatty acids and fatty vitamins, especially vitamins E and A. And enjoy lots of sunshine. Emerging evidence suggests that low vitamin D concentrations may be involved in the development of both diabetes and Alzheimer's dementia. The word calorie comes from the Latin root calor, meaning hot, and that's what a calorie is, a unit of heat. More calories mean more heat, and therein lies the rationale for the anti-aging benefits of eating less food and going low-cal. The human body is a machine, and like any machine, it runs best when it runs cool. And not only does calorie restriction lower heat, but ingesting less food also reduces the work the digestive system has to do, conserving nutrients for growth and for repair. And because digestion of even quality foods produces free radical toxins that accelerate aging, less food can reduce the overall toxicity that the body has to deal with. Calories also induce inflammation. So if you're dealing with a chronic disease, arthritis, autoimmune issues, or skin problems, dropping calories can help improve symptoms symptoms and promote healing. Calorie restriction has even been shown to lower the risks of cancer and improve the benefits and side effects of chemotherapy. In the book Blue Zones, author Dan Buettner found that in places around the world with the happiest and the healthiest older folks, less food means living longer. Here are 3 ways that you can dismantle the primitive and survival-based emotions that are hardwired into all human beings. First, understand that concern is not the same as fear, and while measures should be taken to protect ourselves and our loved ones from infection, being scared is about what may be, not what is, and ultimately makes matters worse by suppressing the immune system and robbing the body of valuable nutritional resources, not to mention our precious peace of mind. Feeling out of control promotes a sense of helplessness, so focusing on locus of control, where you can make a difference by making the body strong through eating correctly and eating less, supplementing and exercising can help deactivate the stress response. And finally, recognize the difference between the imagination and the real. Statistics and modeling are all about the future, which does not exist in reality but does in our minds. Do not fall for the trap of believing predictions that may or may not occur. For now, for most, everything is fine, and while in the coming months it might not be, no one really knows, and freaking out about the future can have a real negative impact on the present. Our brains love rhythm and hate chaos. Scattered, non-focused mental energy activates neurochemistry of duress and triggers psychological and physiological symptoms. Cortisol, so-called stress hormone, is secreted in response to scattered attention and multitasking and can ultimately lead to high blood pressure, inflammation, suppressed immunity, as well as skin diseases like eczema, psoriasis, insomnia, anxiety, and depression too. On the other hand, by paying mindful attention to the sounds and sights and other sensory details of our environment, all of these health issues can be reduced. One of the simplest ways to incorporate a mindfulness practice into your daily routine is to spend 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day focusing on a bodily sensation. It could be your heartbeat or your pulse, or perhaps the detailed feel of a body part. Just pay close attention to the normal sound of air coming into and out of the nose, and you'll be lowering cortisol while reducing the stress response and increasing the secretion of feel-good hormones. Your brain will be happy, and before long, you'll be enjoying more contentment, peace of mind, and an enhanced sense of well-being. Human beings are built to survive. The problem is that survival skill requires us to be acutely aware of danger. This sensitivity to threat can sometimes lead to a sense of pessimism, which can actually be counterproductive to the survival imperative and not in our long-term health interests. Pessimism is a substantial risk factor for an early demise. If you want to be more optimistic, focus on the present. The mind is notoriously unskilled at predicting the future and is always going to be biased towards a worst-case scenario. And for most of us, no matter how dire a situation may be, at any given moment, our basic survival needs for air, food, and water are not only being met, but they're being met in abundance. And when something negative does occur, we can reframe and relabel to create positives. Did we learn something valuable? Or maybe we gained insight or inner strength. It takes intelligence to be a pessimist and will to be an optimist. So even if it seems logical to be pessimistic, think of living from the bright side as an exercise and optimism as a nutritional supplement called vitamin O. You'll feel better in the moment, be healthier in the future, and you'll probably be adding years to your life. Meditation is medication. In addition to being a mental skill, it's also beneficial for the health of the physical body and the immune system. It's really easy too, and the only thing to be conscious of when meditating is to distinguish awareness from thought. We're always thinking, but we're not always aware. Thinking is a reflex, it's a habit. Human beings do it pretty much nonstop every waking moment. Being aware of thinking occurs much less frequently, and unlike overthinking, which costs us energy and can result in stress and fatigue, pure awareness is actually relaxing and ultimately energizing. Meditation is about awareness, and while we can be aware of our breathing, our heartbeat, or our bodies, there's nothing better to be aware of than our thoughts. The biggest issue people have when they start a meditation practice is that they can't stop thinking. When you're meditating, it's guaranteed that you're going to move away from awareness into thought, and when you first start, large periods of your meditation session may be spent thinking. When you notice you're thinking and have lost the experience of just being aware of your thoughts, or whatever it is that's the focus of your awareness, simply return to the awareness. That's really the meditation. Every time you lose it, you have an opportunity to return. While impatience is normal, scientists from the University of California have shown that certain personality types are better at waiting things out than others. There's an important relationship, not surprisingly, between having a good perspective on life in general and the ability to handle waiting periods. Researchers found that study participants who had an optimistic attitude and were comfortable with uncertainty had an easier time waiting. Next time you find yourself enduring a waiting mode, to make the experience less uncomfortable, try experimenting with a mindfulness practice that can help minimize the effects of obsessing over outcomes. Mindfulness emphasizes paying close attention to negativity and unpleasant thinking and emotions, which allows for the acceptance of stressful thoughts and feelings without being driven by them. Another tip is to know, or at least believe, that you can handle whatever outcome shows up at the end of your wait. This will alleviate the stress and worry over an anticipated lousy end. No matter what the conclusion of your wait may reveal, instead of worrying about outcomes, appreciate what you already have and know that no matter what shows up, there's usually a silver lining to every cloud. Essential oils are concentrated fatty compounds with distinct fragrances that are found throughout the plant world. For thousands of years, these substances have been associated with health-promoting properties, and medical texts dating back to Sumerian times have described benefits from soothing burns to healing infectious lesions to driving out evil demons. These ancient doctors thought that the smoke produced by burning these oils contained deities, and the modern word perfume, from fumes, refers to this belief. More recently, it's been discovered that our skin can smell essential oils, and the health benefits of EO fragrances extend directly to the skin cells themselves, all of which are covered with scent or olfactory receptors that are responsive to EO odor molecules. When these odor molecules contact the receptors, they initiate growth effects that can play an important role in wound healing. Essential oils can improve learning. Try smelling a particularly potent EO as you're memorizing something. When it comes time for recall, take another sniff of your essential oil. You're going to find that your brain will have associated the scent with the facts you've studied, and it'll be much easier to pull them out of your memory. In the body, the stress response is the key to wellness and longevity, and understanding how to take advantage of it is vital for sustained health. It's been said that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and while you absolutely need to rest and relax a lot between experiences of stress, pushing the limits of the body's muscular mechanics and biochemistry can result in a more flexible metabolism and stronger physicality. We call that exercise. And as everyone knows, resistance training and endurance practice is a must for keeping the body healthy. Other examples of the benefits of stress include the hygiene hypothesis, which asserts that exposure to microbes, viruses, and other pathogens early in life makes the immune system more robust. Microscopic doses of sometimes poisonous plant molecules found in cruciferous and other vegetables supports liver health and strengthens the immune system. The exertion of walking builds stronger bones. And it's not just the body that benefits from stress. The psyche does too. If we hold up in the face of failures, emotional duress, breakups, and bankruptcies, we'll end up more resilient, capable, and better able to handle the inevitable surprises in our lives more effectively and skillfully. CBD, a member of the cannabinoid family that includes the infamous stoner substance THC, its multiple benefits for treating insomnia, pain, anxiety, depression, seizures, and diabetes have turned the use of the natural plant chemical into the latest therapeutic trend. The newest application for CBD is in dermatology, and like other cannabinoids, it's thought to be a key component of normal skin cell chemistry. Cannabidiol-containing topicals have the potential to treat a wide variety of skin disorders, including dermatitis, boils and cysts, itching, eczema, psoriasis, and even skin cancer. Recently, it's been shown that cannabinoids like CBD can stabilize sebum skin oils and slow down the growth of overactive skin cells that are associated with acne. And in the case of dry skin, CBD may improve sebum secretion, making it a natural skin softener. And scientists are now looking into the possibility that CBD can slow down skin aging, giving the billion-dollar anti-aging skincare business a possible new ingredient darling. CBD is a powerful antioxidant that reduces inflammation, improving the appearance of wrinkles, fine lines, as well as thinning and sun-damaged skin. There can be no progress without sacrifice, and while everyone wants to succeed, giving things up is not always easy. Sacrifice is the loss of something in return for gain, and almost every goal we decide to achieve requires it. By definition, to decide, which comes from the Latin meaning to kill off, requires some kind of sacrifice. When two goals oppose, one's gotta go. Most people have a hard time giving things up. They aren't proactive when it comes to sacrifice, and rather than eliminating things that get in the way of achieving what they really want, they let life proceed on its own without prioritizing desired results. Part of the skill of sacrifice involves simply saying no, much like carving a beautiful sculpture requires eliminating a lot of clay. If you're having a hard time accomplishing a goal or quitting a habit, first identify your loss. Then determine if your potential gain is worth that loss. You say yes, don't look back, live with the consequences of your choice, keep your eye on your goal, and learn to repeatedly say goodbye and good riddance to whatever it is that you've sacrificed. Under normal, healthy conditions, the liver's enzymes can completely detoxify chemical poisons. When the liver is overloaded or when it's undernutriated, excess toxins are passed on to the kidneys, which can create bladder and urinary tract issues. And when the kidneys can no longer handle the toxicity, onto the skin it'll go. Redness, dark spots, cysts, acne, eczema, psoriasis, and itchy rashes that no topical remedy can reverse. The best thing to do if you're dealing with an intractable skin problem is hit the reset button with a 1 to 2 day water fast. fast. This will allow the liver to catch up to its detox work, reducing the burden on the kidney and halting the flow of impurities into the skin. Also, drinking lots of water, fresh vegetables, and veggie juices can help dilute toxins and facilitate their elimination through urine. And make sure to get some sunshine-derived vitamin D, which the National Kidney Foundation calls the kidney vitamin. Kidney cells are loaded with vitamin D receptors, and as a bonus, solar rays can have powerful healing benefits for broken, rashy, or otherwise unhealthy skin. Myofascial pain syndrome is a condition marked by localized areas of sensitivity scattered throughout the body. Also known as trigger points, they're sensitized spots that can be felt as discrete bands of muscle tissue, referred to as knots, that can cause pain when touched or even sometimes when they're left alone. These knots, which feel like a small solid bean underneath the skin, can result in referred pain that's felt in a completely different part of the body. This can make it difficult to attribute a specific cause, and some patients will have no idea why they're all of a sudden having a problem. While the medical strategy for dealing with trigger points involves medications or sometimes injections, many people get non-medical relief from self-massage. Gently but firmly press against the trigger point. It may hurt at first, but as you continue, eventually the knot should soften and then release. You can use your hands for your upper body and neck, foam roller for your back, or a tennis ball for your hands, feet, and butt. You can also take advantage of rolfing, an intense form of massage where a trained professional manipulates the fibers and scar tissue until they're broken up. One of the most powerful immune boosting strategies is just eating less food, and that's where the calorie restriction optimum nutrition or CRON diet comes in. Calories require biological work, and that means a depletion of nutritional resources. So making sure we're enjoying low-cal, nutrient-dense bone broth and veggie soups. Veggie juices are good too. And if you include onion and garlic, you'll be activating the body's major detoxifier and notorious coronavirus killer, glutathione. Make sure to add immune support spices like cayenne, ginger, and turmeric, which in addition to amplifying immune strengthening properties of veggies, make a great detox tea. Just grate a little ginger root and turmeric root and add along some cayenne powder into 16 ounces or so of water and bring it all to a boil. If you squeeze in some fresh lemon, you'll be getting vitamin C and a nice citrusy taste too. And while you're making your tea, try nibbling on a little of your turmeric root. It has a gentle sweet taste and it's packed with antiviral curcumin, so you'll be getting even more immune system nutrient mojo. Under normal circumstances, the liver is perfectly capable of doing its detox business, but problems arise when it's overloaded with pesticides, food toxins, alcohol, nicotine, and prescription meds, among other poisons. Once that happens, the valves allowing the blood into the liver as well as out close, resulting in a backup that contributes to intestinal illness and acid reflux, esophageal disease, as well as varicose veins, enlarged hemorrhoids, and various skin problems, including psoriasis, eczema, and cystic acne. Even wrinkles and dark spots can be the result of a clogged up liver. The best way to prevent problems is to focus on foods. Eat organic if possible. Avoiding gluten, grains, and dairy can be helpful. And lowering doses of prescription drugs, quitting smoking, laying off alcohol will support liver health. Fiber and probiotics can improve the elimination of toxins from the bowels. And there are great supplements for the liver, including selenium, glutamine, and N-acetylcysteine, which is so effective for liver detox, it's used in hospitals to treat liver poisoning. Beginning a meditation practice doesn't need to be spiritual, and you don't need a cushion or a fancy app. All you need is yourself. Meditation is really nothing more than one pointed awareness, and all that requires is something simple to be aware of: our breathing. And it's our constant companion every moment of our lives, moving in and moving out hundreds of millions of times in an average life. And all you need to do to meditate is to be aware of the inhalation and exhalation movement of the breath. The only thing you have to watch out for is the thinking process. The key to an effective meditation is to understand the distinction between awareness and thought. We humans are always thinking, and while we may not be thinking correctly or healthfully, we certainly don't need to practice the mechanics of thought. On the other hand, we are rarely purely aware, and without practicing, it's unlikely we will ever develop this important skill. Our breathing, the cyclic pulsation that harmonizes us to the fundamental action of the universe, transforms quadrillions of floating atoms into us, becoming bones and blood and tissues. And while we tend to think of inhalation of air when we think about the breath, the second half of respiration plays an especially important role in how healthy or not healthy we are. In addition to expelling carbon dioxide, every exhalation eliminates old atoms, as well as toxins and acids and other wastes. The stuff that's exhaled in our breath can be an important source of valuable health information, particularly about the digestive system. This makes a diagnostic breath test an ideal, non-invasive, relatively inexpensive alternative to endoscopies for assessing the health of the intestine. Breath tests can be done to get data about bacterial infections or responses to specific foods. Breath tests may be useful for early detection of pancreatic cancer.
coronavirus. Luckily, we all have the solution to the crisis within us, in the form of the miraculous, responsive, intelligent, God-given immune system, and strengthening it is the best way to reduce the chances of developing coronavirus symptoms. And as it turns out, much of what we need to do to support immunity, we should be doing anyway. Supplements taken daily can be important immune boosters, and while they won't cure or prevent coronavirus symptoms by themselves, they can help the body take care of the problem. A short list includes zinc picolinate, a must-have at 50 milligrams, same with selenium chelate, 400 to 600 micrograms, and vitamin A, 25,000 IU. The B vitamins, all of them should be used throughout the day, and you want to mix in 2 or 3 grams of MSM sulfur. And make sure you're getting enough vitamin C, at least a couple of grams every day, for boosting the immune system, helping the body deal with the coronavirus.
Amino acids, basic components, which are strung together like beads on a chain to produce all of the 150,000 or so proteins in the body. What's less well known is the fact that some of these amino acids by themselves have interesting medicinal properties that can be exploited to take care of specific needs. One of the most significant of these protein building blocks is a class of molecules called branched chain amino acids, or BCAAs, that are especially important for growth and repair. Bodybuilders use the BCAAs as muscle development aids, and human mother's milk is packed with branched chain amino acids, which are not only an important source of growth substances for the baby, but also provide raw material for the production of other amino acids that play an important role in brain health and detoxification. You can get BCAAs in high protein foods like meat, fish, and eggs. Whey protein is an especially good source. For maximum muscle development, athletes should take their BCAAs 15 to 20 minutes before or after a workout with a little food. Everyone else should take their branched chain amino acids with meals 2 to 3 times a day. While it may not have the most savory reputation, being loaded with preservatives, various taste-enhancing chemicals, trans fats, and lots of calories, as it turns out, beef jerky can actually be really healthy. Still, to best leverage the substantial amounts of protein, minerals, and vitamins that it contains, you should probably stay away from the cheap packaged tubes of processed meat that you'll find in gas stations and convenience stores, and produce your own. It's not all that difficult, and in just 3 or 4 steps and a few hours of your time, you can make a healthful snack that's portable, delicious, and pretty darn good for you. First, whip up a marinade with a half a cup of Bragg's liquid aminos or soy sauce maybe. Use some garlic powder, a bit of hot sauce, and a little bit of honey. Then slice up a lean steak into strips, put them into a plastic bag with your marinade, and let them soak for a couple of hours. Then remove the strips, put them in a low temperature oven, maybe 130 to 140 degrees, and allow the beef to dry to a leathery texture, keeping the oven door open an inch or two to help with dehydration. And you'll have yourself a delicious keto-friendly snack. Vitamin D, in reality, the sunshine vitamin is not a vitamin at all, but rather a steroid hormone. That means it works directly on chromosomes and activates genes to produce proteins that help the body withstand challenges and turn stress to strength. That makes vitamin D, which is actually a type of cholesterol, a potential support nutrient for everything from wound healing to bone building to muscle development to mental focus, not to mention for fighting infections and for strengthening immunity. Although no one really knows how much we need for optimal health, you can get your vitamin D in supplements, and it's also naturally found in foods, especially organ meats, fish liver, and skins, as well as mushroom and eggs, yolk, not the white. But the best way to get your vitamin D is from the sun. That means exposing your skin to solar rays 10 to 15 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, without sunscreen and without burning. If you can't get out in the sun, get a sun lamp. Make sure you get one that produces UVB rays, and not all of them do. There are many non-UVB sun lamps that can still get you some good health benefits, especially for treating depression and fatigue. They're among the most poisonous substances in our environment, and while they won't kill you right away, in the long haul, exposure to heavy metals can create major stresses on all the body's organs, weaken the immune system, and ultimately cause or contribute to liver, kidney, and neurological diseases, as well as cancer and shortened longevity. However, while they're a normal part of the Earth's crust and are ordinarily present in tiny quantities, industrial activities, including mining and factory manufacturing, have concentrated them in the ground as well as in consumer products, resulting in exposure of toxic levels to millions. Pesticides and pharmaceuticals can also be sources of heavy metal toxicity. If you're dealing with unexplained symptoms, including headaches, neurological disorders, muscle and joint weakness or pain, and fatigue, blood or urine tests are pretty accurate and simple to obtain. To eliminate heavy metals, support the production of the body's master detox molecule, glutathione, with supplements including glutamine and acetylcysteine and selenium. Vitamin C is important, and you can sweat out heavy metals via exercise.
Vitamin C, aka ascorbic acid, is important for good health, but historically the focus has been on the essential nutrient's ability to support the immune system and to fight off the common cold. Then in the 1990s, researchers found that when it contacted living skin cells, it could help stimulate their growth as well as collagen synthesis and the production of moisture factors. The problem is the skin is layered, and ascorbic acid tends to sit on the skin's surface and is unable to access the living cells below. What's more, ascorbic acid is reactive and unstable, and it breaks down in the presence of air, light, and moisture, at which point it darkens and is no longer able to provide benefits to the skin. That's why it's important to look for fat-soluble vitamin C in your skincare products. This form, which goes by the names ascorbyl palmitate and ascorbyl tetraisopalmitate, never breaks down, and unlike ascorbic acid, it's fully capable of penetrating through the dead skin's surface cells, pricier than ascorbic acid, but it's way more effective and long-lasting, and if you're looking for real and dramatic vitamin C effects, its superior benefits make it well worth the cost. Two key elements of a good antiviral strategy involve building the immune system and not freaking out, and a good exercise program can help on both accounts. Moving the body generates electrical charges important for healing and repair, and supporting the immune system, whose cells, like all cells, depend on bioelectricity. Exercise also improves oxygenation of tissues, and even better, supports pulmonary health and strengthens lung muscles, which are obviously going to be helpful for protection against a respiratory virus. And the exhale is important too. That's where toxins are eliminated from the body, and in addition to acids and other metabolic wastes, that includes yeast, bacteria, and viruses. And if you're experiencing anxiety over a seemingly chaotic state of affairs, vigorous exercise can reestablish a sense of control and can help upregulate serotonin and endorphins and other brain chemicals associated with peace of mind and a positive mood. All you need to do to turn on neurotransmitters of well-being is a 5-minute workout, making sure you're moving your arms as well as your legs. Or get yourself a rebounder or mini trampoline and jump up and down for a few minutes every day. The brain takes up about 2% of our body's weight. It consumes 20% of its resources. So it should come as no surprise that our mental health is highly dependent on digestion and the kind of foods and nutrition we choose to indulge in. For one thing, a healthy brain depends on a healthy intestine. Gut bacteria communicate to the brain, and when the balance is off, depression, anxiety, and brain fog can result. Even schizophrenia and autism are associated with poor digestive health. That makes yogurt, fermented veggies, and probiotic supplements must-haves for effective mental functioning. Refined sugars and hypoglycemia can negatively affect mental health, so going low carb is important. Enjoy lots of fish, butter, eggs, supplemental omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids, as a higher intake of good fats makes the brain happy. B vitamins, the minerals zinc, iodine, and magnesium are especially important for cognitive health. And don't forget to stay hydrated. Water thins the blood, making it flow more effectively and increasing perfusion and nutrient delivery to the brain. Water exists in 3 main forms. Recently, it's been discovered there's actually a 4th type of water that's a cross between a solid and a liquid. It's said to be structured. And as it turns out, this is the form that most of the water that's in our body takes. As we get older, this fluid loses its structure, and the end result is a loss of cell function and disruption in electrical conductivity that results in many of the unpleasantries that's associated with an aging body. This makes maintaining water structure an important strategy in anti-aging, and there's 3 good ways that we can do this. 1, because collagen supports water structuring, making sure that you're using collagen-building nutrition, including collagen peptides, the minerals sulfur, copper, and zinc, and lots of vitamin C. 2, water-soluble minerals called electrolytes play a role in water structuring, Himalayan or Celtic sea salt, and eating plenty of electrolyte-rich produce, eggs, fish, and meats as well. And thirdly, we can ingest produce which contains structured water.
Very important relationship between the biochemistry of stress and skin health. Via the hormone cortisol, psychological duress can induce a wide range of skin health issues. Likewise, blue light from cell phones, poor sleep habits, bad food choices, and nutritional deficiencies can all have impacts on skin stress hormone levels. This can in turn lead to dark spots, dryness and skin sensitivities, thin skin, wrinkles and fine lines, oiliness and blemishes. To address skin cortisol, leverage food and nutritional strategies like calorie restriction and avoiding sugar and processed foods. Use supplements including magnesium, zinc, vitamin C and A, and hormone precursors DHEA and pregnenolone. Also, applying fat-soluble vitamin C directly onto the skin can help mitigate the effects of cortisol. And nothing beats 6 to 8 hours of beauty sleep for reducing cortisol, keeping skin youthful, radiant, healthy, and gorgeous. I want to talk to you a little bit about growth factor. Latest darling in the world of topical skincare, growth factors are proteins, and here's the thing about proteins. They're water soluble, and they're big molecules. Whether or not they can make it through the skin surface, the so-called stratum corneum, is debatable. Now, after a procedure like microneedling or laser, or perhaps after you have a burn, using growth factors topically might be helpful, but they're nowhere near as important as topically applied vitamin C, vitamin A, and polyelectrolytes or fulvic minerals. Why? Well, growth factors aren't essential. Your skin cells make growth factors. They don't make vitamins. They don't make electrolytes. That's why I use topical vitamin C in all my products, topical vitamin A, as well as polyelectrolytes. There are so many reasons to love the incredible edible egg that it's hard to know where to begin. They're versatile, inexpensive, tasty, and super nutritious. In fact, eggs contain at least small amounts of every nutrient needed by the human body, with the exception of vitamin C. They're a great source of protein and perfectly balanced amino acids. Eggs also contain brain-boosting choline and lecithin, two key nutrients for mind and memory that can be especially important for improving or even preventing the symptoms of dementia. Best not to fry or overcook, though. The fats and cholesterol in eggs are easily damaged, and their potent nutritional value can be lost. I want to talk a little bit about statin drugs and cholesterol. Taking any drug is probably not a good idea, and statin drugs can be just as problematic as any other pharmacological agent. Plus, cholesterol is really important stuff. It plays a key role in brain health, it's important for hormones, and it's important for your skin too. If you really want to lower your cholesterol levels, use sugar metabolizing nutrients. There's a very important relationship between elevated blood sugar and elevated cholesterol. Magnesium can help, zinc is important, and nothing beats good old niacin, vitamin B3, for lowering both cholesterol and lowering blood sugar. Use timed-release niacin, maybe 250 to 500 milligrams a day of time-release vitamin B3 can be helpful for both your blood sugar and your cholesterol levels. Remember the Chia Pet? The novelty toy from the 1980s is actually the end result of one of the best sources of digestive and nutritional support you could ever use. Chia seeds are loaded with B vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and essential fats, and they're a great source of estrogen balancing and blood sugar lowering fiber. If you add half a cup of chia seeds to a cup or two of almond milk and a little stevia, maybe some vanilla and cinnamon, you'll have yourselves a healthy and diabetic-friendly, delicious chia pudding, dessert, or snack. Want to drop a few pounds? Enjoy your chia pudding before meals, and you'll eat a lot less food. Today's topic is dandruff. The embarrassing flakes and uncomfortable itching associated with the condition affects nearly 50 million Americans to one degree or another. The most important thing to know about dandruff is that it is much more than unpleasant and cosmetically unappealing. It's a health challenge and should be addressed as such. Dandruff is associated with oily skin and acne, and like these health issues, it should be addressed at the level of the digestive system and nutrition. Look for and eliminate problem foods, use probiotics and nutritional supplements, the 5 most important being the B complex, vitamin A, zinc, selenium, and omega essential fatty acids. Have you ever noticed that there's a voice inside your head? We know it as thinking, and it's an actual neural phenomena that is the result of brain chemistry that scientists call the default mode network, or DMN. And while it's nothing but neurology, it is the source of much worry and angst and suffering. To stop the voice, try gently relaxing your tongue. As it turns out, in order to talk to ourselves, i.e. think, our tongue has to move ever so slightly, and by relaxing it, we can slow down and even ultimately eliminate thought in the language of our inner voice.
It's common knowledge that the skin, at 20 square feet, about the size of a double bed, is the largest organ in the body. But what's less recognized is that all that tissue requires lots of nutrition to stay healthy. In fact, one of the first places nutritional shortages show up is in and on the skin, and dryness, thinning, rashes, and sensitivities can all be the result of deficiencies. And of all the nutrients that play a role in keeping skin healthy and beautiful, none are more important than essential fatty acids, or EFAs. Known as omega-6s and omega-3s, these critical fats play a role in almost all skin functions, and keeping the biochemistry of the organ firing on all cylinders requires generous amounts of both. Without EFAs, skin will be dry, crepey, and more likely to be inflamed. And if you're noticing wrinkles and fine lines or any of the other signs of aging, it's likely you can use some essential fatty acids. EFAs support healthy hormones, they regulate inflammation, they act to turn on cell genetics, resulting in more collagen production, a better skin barrier, and more efficient skin cell growth. In uncertain times, it's really easy to fall into fear and despair, and while these responses to the turmoil in our world are understandable, they are definitely not helpful. And as it turns out, no matter how bad things may get in the future, in the immediate present, or what is called the now, there's rarely anything wrong. Most of us enjoy enough air, water, food, and roofs over our heads and clothes to keep us warm, and when stressed about possible outcomes, it's important to keep in mind I have suffered through many misfortunes in my life, most of which never happened. If you find yourself dealing with worry and anxiety, you can't concentrate or sleep, and your thoughts are racing, a daily meditation practice can help. You only need 5 or 10 minutes a day, although once you get going, you're likely to find yourself so peaceful, you'll want to stay in a meditative state as long as possible. Sit or lay down in a relaxed position, breathe through your nostrils, and pay attention to the tip of your nose while mentally watching the air go in and out. Don't be concerned if you find yourself lost in thought. That's inevitably going to happen, and it's actually when the real practice begins. Although meat eating is not for everyone, meat is a nutrient powerhouse packed with vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and anabolic or building substances. The non-muscular tissue that composes the organs of cows, lambs, sheep, pigs, chickens is especially nutritious. The kidney, brain, heart, and liver and other organs have lots of nutrition, are low calorie, and packed with protein, B vitamins, and minerals. This is especially important for athletes, bodybuilders, the elderly, and folks recovering from surgery. Organ meats have traditionally been cherished by indigenous cultures, but these days they've fallen out of favor and most meat eaters don't appreciate how valuable they can be. You might want to start off with tongue. Once it's prepared and sliced up, it really doesn't look very organ-y, but like other organs, it has a high nutrient to calorie ratio. It's the ideal keto food, loaded with fat and protein, which makes it tasty and very filling. It's a source of natural hyaluronic acid and almost 15% collagen. And that means less wrinkles, diminished fine lines and crow's feet, and healthier, stronger, beefier skin. We don't always have control over what we experience. We can control how we interpret those experiences. And once they're interpreted, our biochemistries react and we become shaped by them. The experience is not what happens to us, but what we do with what happens to us. We are the result of how we respond to what occurs. If we're having trouble dealing with how life is showing up at any given moment, rather than focusing on what is occurring, try focusing on what you're feeling. Many times the issue is in the tissue, and by somatically sensing our bodies, we'll find ourselves seated in the real source of our anxiety, us. And what we think we're anxious about is really a mental description used to explain a physical feeling. It's actually disassociated from anything that's outside of us. We can address the physical sensation with a physical response. Slow, deep breathing, muscle relaxation, exercise, or immersion in warm water are all ways we can somatically soften and sail through the apparently external angst-inducing events that will inevitably arise in our lives, in our minds, and in our bodies. Topical vitamin A is one of the most important skincare ingredients you can use, but it comes in various forms, and that can make knowing how to take advantage of its multiple potential benefits a confusing ordeal. Vitamin A comes in 3 main forms: retinoyl palmitate, which is mild and not very potent; retinoic acid, the active form of vitamin A, which is only available on a prescription; and the precursor form called retinol, which is converted by enzymes in the skin into active vitamin A. So if you'd rather not deal with the hassle of a prescription, but you'd still like the skin health and youth-promoting effects of vitamin A, you want to use retinol. It's not as potent as retinoic acid, but it's still strong, so you want to get your skin used to it gradually. Start off by applying your retinol product maybe once every 7 to 10 days or so, and work yourself into a 1 to 2 times a week regimen. And by the time you're on your 3rd or 4th dose, you're going to be noticing all the beautifying effects of this superstar active ingredient, including skin lightening and smoothing, reversal and prevention of fine lines and wrinkles, and softer, bouncier, more youthful skin. An unusual antiviral strategy, slime. Mucopolysaccharide, the prefix muco reminding of slimy mucus, and for good reason. That's pretty much what the bodily secretion is, and what makes it slimy is a chemical reaction between water and the unique structure of the mucopolysaccharide. The net result is the characteristic gooey quality of mucus. For one thing, it protects the tissues of the digestive system from the harsh chemicals that are secreted to break down various foodstuffs. Mucus acts as a humectant to keep thin tissues in the eyes, sinuses, and respiratory tract moist and hydrated. It also supports the immune system, keeping viruses and bacteria from attaching to various cells, trapping, destroying, then helping to eliminate or slime the insidious invaders out of the body. You can support your mucus defenses by eating mucoid building blocks, which are found abundantly in the natural world. Mushrooms are packed with them. Potatoes, seaweed is an especially good source, and the botanical called astragalus, well known among herbalists for the immune boosting and antimicrobial properties it has, contains a mother lode of magnificent medicinal mucopolysaccharides. The skin is an organ. It breathes and grows and detoxifies and performs countless biochemical reactions a second, and like any other organ in the body, it requires nutrition conditioned to be healthy. Yet when our skin is dry, broken out, damaged, or not looking as good as it should, the first thing we want to do is put something on top of it. Typically a concoction of wax, water, oil, an emulsifier, maybe a little active ingredient. Then we slide our finger over the cream or lotion we just applied, and the idea is that we've changed the condition of our skin. But we haven't. All we're feeling is product, and our skin is just as unhealthy as it was before, and this leads to frustration and accounts for our collective dissatisfaction with our body's largest organ. No matter how dry, aged, or damaged our skin is, it can be transformed dramatically and quickly if we change its health. Healthy skin is inherently beautiful and strong and hydrated if it has what it needs from the inside out. Quality fats and protein, vitamin A, zinc, copper, among other nutrients, and from the outside in. Nutrients can be broadly distinguished as those that dissolve in water and others that are fat-soluble. Hydrophilic nutrients like the B complex and vitamin C are fast-acting and eliminated from the body quickly. Fatty ones not only stay in the body longer, but they're also harder to extract from food. While hydrophilic nutrients act quickly, lipophilic ones, vitamins D, E, A, and K, and omega-3 and 6 fatty acids take longer to work and are more about supporting the body's adaptation over time, as well as healing, building, repair, and anti-aging than their water-soluble colleagues. The trick to taking advantage of the youth and health promoting effects of lipophilics is in the digestive system. That's because in the world of nutrition, benefits are not only about what you ingest, but what you actually absorb, thus the importance of a healthy pancreas, liver, gallbladder, and intestine when it comes to enjoying the health benefits of the fatty nutrients. Always take your fatty nutrients with meals. If you have digestive issues, it's helpful to use digestive enzymes, probiotics, lecithin granules, bile salts, among other fat digesting aids with all your meals and with your supplements. Loneliness is serious business, and according to healthcare professionals, the effects can be as damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness is linked to depression, anxiety, heart disease, and you don't have to be alone to feel lonely. Many folks experience loneliness in their marriage or in a group of people, and the feeling is more about a lack of true relating, understanding, or commonality. To best address loneliness, start by taking baby steps towards relationship with others. Even just heading out the door, smiling, or making small talk with the cashier can be a helpful first step. What's important is to keep moving towards human engagement. Smiling and complimenting or saying a cheerful good morning to strangers can create bonds and alleviate feelings of loneliness. Joining a gym, club, or signing up for classes is an easy way to meet people. Taking the time to organize dinners or outings with folks we know and don't know help us connect and form bonds. And scheduling 10 or 15 minutes every week to pick up the phone and make random calls, or even better, video chats to friends or loved ones is a great way to strengthen and create social connections. Most of us really don't know how to breathe correctly. The right way to breathe is through the nose, which can filter, warm, and humidify the air. Breathing nasally activates nerves in the upper part of the sinuses that reduce blood pressure, relax the body, and activate feel-good chemistry. Proper breathing should cause the stomach muscles to expand outwards and tighten. This will cause the diaphragm to drop, creating a vacuum that pulls air into the chest and allows for maximum oxygenation of the lungs. To get good at breathing, try this practice. Lay down flat on your back with your legs straight and your shoulders touching the ground. With one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly, inhale slowly through the nose, making sure that your abdomen hand moves upwards and your chest hand remains still. Then exhale again, nasally and slowly, and you want to feel the pressure on your abdomen hand decreasing once again with your chest hand remaining still. Practice once or twice a day for 5 to 10 minutes. And within a few days, you're going to notice you have more energy, you're sleeping better, and you'll begin to feel yourself surrounded with a sense of calmness. If you're a connoisseur of skincare, you probably know that recently there's been a lot of noise made about stem cells and cosmetics. Unfortunately, when it comes to beauty products, the truth is stem cells are more about marketing than miracles. That's because despite the misleading implications, there are no stem cells in skincare products, nor can there be. Not only are real stem cells regulated as medications, even if they weren't, it wouldn't be possible to maintain living cells in an off-the-shelf cosmetic product. What most topical products that purport to include stem cells in their formulations really do contain are stem cell extracts, which are teas made from liquid that used to contain stem cells. And those stem cells that the liquids contained didn't even come from humans or animals. They were actually derived from plants, and they're properly referred to as meristem cells. Now, to be fair, these meristem cell extracts can contain nutrients and other cellular molecules that may prove beneficial for skin cell health. It's just that they have zero stem cell effects. Don't be fooled. Be an ingredient deck reader and always pay attention to the fine print. When it comes to skincare or any other consumer products, buyer beware.
We need our sleep to support our immune system and develop resistance to viral, bacterial, and fungal infections. Sleep is also important for skin health. Lack of sleep increases cortisol, which can exacerbate conditions like eczema and psoriasis, induce oiliness and dark spots, and result in thinning, crow's feet, fine lines, and other signs of aging. And that's where the hormone melatonin enters into the picture. Not only can the natural hormone help you fall asleep, it also has direct benefits for the body's largest organ. According to research, melatonin directly interacts with skin cells, protecting them against damage, photoaging, and stimulating the production of moisture factors, as well as wrinkle-fighting collagen and elastin. Melatonin has also been shown to improve wound healing, especially for diabetics. For best results, take 3 to 6 milligrams 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. And if you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, consider using a sustained release form of melatonin that will deliver its relaxing benefits gradually throughout the evening. And when you wake up, enjoy some morning sunshine. Early UV light streaming from the sun supports the production of your own natural biological melatonin.
If you find yourself being driven crazy by your thoughts, here's some tips to liberate yourself and master your thinking process. You have to be motivated and willing to see thoughts and thinking from a different perspective. Then start watching and noticing thought and the thought process. Watch a thought arise from nowhere and then return to that nowhere only to be instantly replaced by another one. Get curious about who is thinking the thought and who is observing or listening to the thought. Are you the thinker or the watcher? Deconstruct thought into its neurology. After all, thoughts are not really facts. They're just the end result of electrolytes like potassium and sodium entering into brain cells, and when they are recognized as such, their power will begin to diminish. When you have a persistent disempowering thought, rather than merely thinking it or believing it, label it, and then be prepared with a beneficial thought to replace it with. Labeling will turn thought into a solid thing rather than information to be paid attention to. This objectification will deactivate the thought, at which point it will become easier to replace it with something more empowering. With coronavirus, lots of folks are trying to come up with healthy ways to avoid infection and complications. Nutrition can be effective, likewise diet and exercise, and then there's herbals. The most powerful ways to deliver botanical medicine is an alcohol or hydroalcohol-based tincture. Teas can work too. Powdered capsules and tablets, not so much, and they're certainly not cost effective. One of my favorite viral protection herbals is lomatium root, a traditional Native American remedy that's been honored for its antibacterial, antiseptic, and antiviral properties. It can help break up phlegm, and it has diuretic effects too. Lomatium root is a source of vitamin C as well as fatty acids, both of which have anti-infective and immune boosting benefits. Lomatium root tincture is available on the internet. Keep in mind, it's a medicine and not a nutrient, so you have to be a little bit careful. It tastes pretty bad. Some users experience nausea and sometimes a rare allergic reaction with skin rash, itching, and swelling can occur. If that happens, discontinue use immediately. Otherwise, lomatium root is relatively safe, and you might want to think about keeping a bottle of lomatium root tincture in your medicine cabinet just in case. Dark spots that are associated with getting older can be a frustrating reminder of the aging process, although younger folks get them too, and they're linked to hormone therapy, medication, and pregnancy, as well as aging. Technically called melasma, the condition affects over 5 million people, mostly women. It's caused by out-of-control pigment formation, and contrary to conventional wisdom, it is not the result of sun exposure, but rather excess estrogen and the stress hormone cortisol. One of the best ways to lower cortisol and keep skin clear and bright is to maintain stable blood sugar, which is always a good idea. Don't indulge in high-carb processed foods, especially desserts, cereals, and snacks. Using cortisol-balancing nutrients like vitamin C and E and the mineral selenium can be helpful. Likewise, the B vitamins, lecithin capsules, and pregnenolone. To balance estrogen, use progesterone cream, supplement with essential fatty acids and iodine, improve bowel function with fiber and probiotics too. Topically, you can lighten dark spots with vitamin C and retinol. Alpha hydroxy acid toners can be effective, as can chemical peels done by a skincare professional. The brain is completely separated from the outside world. It depends on the nervous system to know what's going on in the body's environment. This nervous system is divided into two ways of perceiving the world. One that emphasizes survival, called the fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system, and a second one that's activated by safety, the rest and digest or parasympathetic nervous system. Many of the markers of illness, including high blood pressure, anxiety, insomnia, suppressed immunity, skin diseases, and digestive issues, as well as accelerated aging, have their basis in excessive sympathetic nervous system activity, and learning to activate the parasympathetic nervous system is an important strategy for enhancing well-being. Parasympathetic activity is initiated by slow, deep, rhythmic breathing, muscle relaxation, and immersion in warm water. The rest and digest neurology is also switched on by good feeling, contentment, satisfaction, gratitude, laughter, and spending quality time with friends and loved ones. Petting and giving attention to a dog or cat can help. Even watching cute animal videos can generate a peaceful feeling for improved health and increased longevity.
We all know how to eat, but just because we can do it doesn't mean we do it correctly. By applying the following tips to the business of eating, we'll not only maximize digestion, but we'll also find ourselves satisfied with fewer calories, allowing us to eat less food and lose a few pounds along the way. It's important to breathe correctly while we're eating. The digestive system is a muscular machine that's dependent on oxygen to fuel the stomach's grinding and crushing activity, as well as intestinal contractions. Oxygen also stimulates the digestive nervous system that's responsible for the production of stomach acid, bile, and intestinal secretions. Don't slouch during mealtime. Eating with your back straight improves diaphragmatic functioning, facilitating oxygenation, and the digestive cavity shrinks when we're hunched over, leaving less space for the gut to do its work effectively, which can lead to indigestion, bloating, and acid reflux. It's best to eat before evening, especially large meals. And don't eat when you're stressed out. Rest and digest. Lighten up at mealtime. The nerves that control digestion are activated by the relaxation response.
All disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by sticky blood. Blood feeds and oxygenates cells, and its circulation through the body generates an electrical charge. This electrical charge is measured by something called the zeta potential. The higher the zeta potential, the more fluid the blood, and the better nutriated, oxygenated, and healthy your cells will be. Conversely, a decrease in ZP is associated with accelerated aging and health challenges. Here's 3 easy ways to electrify blood and increase zeta potential. Number 1, drink water 2 to 4 quarts a day. This will improve blood volume and fluidization, improving circulatory flow and increasing the zeta potential. Number 2, breathe deeply. Oxygen plays an important role in keeping blood cells healthy and increasing their electrical charges, and the overall zeta potential in the blood goes up as well. Number 3, walk barefoot on the cool mud or dirt. This is called earthing, and the electrical energy that streams from the surface and enters into the body through the soles of the feet. From there, it will ultimately find its way into the bloodstream, increasing zeta potential, improving health and longevity, and enhancing well-being.
Visualizations. You should know that almost all elite athletes whose lucrative livelihoods depend on their performance take it very seriously. Anyone who follows a few easy steps can reap the benefits of visualization too. A good visualization needs to employ detail, and the more specifics you can conjure up, the better. Say you're looking to get healthy. Close your eyes and picture the experiences you'll be able to have, really the particulars of what your new body can do. Perhaps imagine yourself working out in a gym, or maybe hiking on a mountain trail. Secondly, in your mind's eye, feel the feelings you'll have when you achieve your goal. What sensations are in your body as you're hiking or working out? How about in the muscles in your legs? And feel the joy and satisfaction you're going to have when you know your body is strong and healthy. And third, make sure you practice your visualizations often, at least once or twice a day. The more you practice, the more real your imagined experience will be. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an actual event and a visualized one, and with repetition, whatever it is you want to accomplish will gradually become more and more real in your imagination and eventually real in life as well.
When most people consider hormone therapy, they're usually thinking about prescription estrogen and testosterone, 2 powerful biochemicals that come replete with toxicity and side effects, even if they can sometimes improve symptoms associated with aging. If you'd like to benefit from hormone replacement and you don't want to deal with a script, you might want to consider progesterone. The underappreciated hormone is available over the counter, has remarkable feel-good benefits, and the only likely side effect you may experience if you use too much is a little fatigue. Unlike prescription hormones, progesterone has a relaxing effect. The calming properties of progesterone make it an ideal companion to take with estrogen and testosterone, both of which can cause nervousness and anxiety. Progesterone, which is useful for both men and women, improves muscle development and bone strength, fertility and libido, and supports weight loss and healthy blood sugar. It's therapeutic for ladies dealing with PMS, fibroids, cramps, and other menstrual issues. It can help reduce hot flashes too. I like progesterone cream or topical liquid. Look for 2 to 10% strengths. Make sure the ingredients say real bioidentical progesterone. While it's been used in the world of medicine for over 50 years, lately a form of vitamin A called retinol has become an ingredient darling in the world of over-the-counter skincare. And for good reason. When used topically, the fatty vitamin found in various foods, including liver, fish, and dairy, delivers numerous skin health benefits and can be used to treat photo damage, hyperpigmentation, and skin aging. And regular use of topical retinol can help improve texture and stimulate the production of natural skin moisturizers, including high hyaluronic acid. Technically speaking, retinol is pre-vitamin A. For it to work its skin health magic, it has to be turned into active vitamin A, retinoic acid. This conversion is accomplished by enzymes that are found naturally in the skin. The multiple benefits and the importance of retinol are associated with the fact that vitamin A is actually not a vitamin at all, but rather a hormone. That means that cells respond to the ingredient quickly and effectively. It also means you don't need to use a lot of
of retinol to get skin health benefits. Applying a 1% to 5% preparation of topical retinol to the skin once or twice a week is all you need to do to get significant benefits.
Life is electrical, and all living beings exist like a battery by virtue of positive and negative charges. Cells have a negative charge, which is the result of lots of pieces of electricity called electrons. In general, these electrons can be thought of as energizing and detoxifying, and our wellness depends on our ability to conduct this energy, whose healthful effect can be enjoyed in various ways, including sunshine, the beach, and forests, which are all rich in salubrious electrons. The most important sources of these pieces of electricity is what we eat, and quality foods have quality electrons and lots of them. Cooking and processing disperses electronic energy, and the fact that the average American gets over 80% of their calories from electron-deficient food is a major reason for our collective poor health. Eating fresh foods, fruits, and veggies, and raw dairy is a great way to get electrons into our bodies, and omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acid molecules found in eggs, fish, avocados, grains, and seeds, especially flax and chia, are surrounded with what is known as an electron cloud and are particularly packed with cleansing and detoxifying electrons, i.e. negative charges. During these perilous times, we can learn a thing or two from some of the oldest and wisest entities on the planet, the intelligent and conscious beings called trees. If a tree is to withstand a storm, it has to be flexible, be able to bend without breaking, and it has to maintain a strong root system. Likewise, when the crap hits the fan, we have to be flexible. This is the great unknown. No one has been in this situation before, and we have to let go of old ideas and be willing to come up with creative and intelligent ways to respond. And at the same time, we have to be anchored in our communities, families, and in our own sense of strength and resilience. Be inspirational to those who are scared. Contribute where you can, contributing time and money if possible. Those who are in need, sign up to deliver Meals on Wheels, go shopping for the elderly, call the United Way and see if you can volunteer, donate food. We don't really know what the coming days may bring, but we do know for sure is like all things, this too shall pass. Whether we like it or not, we're in this situation, and there's very little we can't handle if we protect ourselves intelligently, stay psychologically strong, and don't give in to unconscious reactions of fear. Beware the chair. If you're one of the 100 million Americans who have desk jobs, you should know that sitting is the new smoking, and sedentary work has been linked to health issues including obesity, chronic pain, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. While just being seated all day doesn't seem like it would be so dangerous, according to researchers at the Mayo Clinic, extended periods of sitting kills more people than HIV and is riskier than skydiving, and as it turns out, we may be sitting ourselves to death. If your job keeps you stuck in an office chair all day, you might want to consider the following strategies to keep your muscles active and blood flowing while you're at work. Park your car as far away from your workplace as you can. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Walk to your colleague's office instead of texting or emailing. Have standing meetings or use a standing desk. Keep a mini rebounder in your office and jump up and down on it for 5 minutes every hour or two. And you can also do exercises right from your seat, including side twists, shoulder rolls, and wide leg forward bends, making sure that you're forming a habit by doing these regularly as part of a daily or even hourly routine. Sleep problems, and 1 out of 3 Americans do, it might be elevated cortisol from a hectic day. To lower cortisol, practice slow, deep, rhythmic breathing, always watching the breath coming in and out of the nose. Really feel a sensation of love and gratitude for someone or something in your life, your spouse, children, parents, pets, friends, neighbors, anyone. Or even better, combine the two. First, inhale love, whatever that means to you. Just think about something or someone you love, or the feeling of love itself as you breathe in, and gratitude for your health, friends, family, or anything else. Then as you exhale, share that love and gratitude with people you feel connected to. Picture their faces as you pour love on them and they're being saturated in an ocean of caring kindness and gratefulness. This 2-step process is way better than counting sheep, and you don't have to be in bed trying to fall asleep to benefit from the soporific effects of this relaxing breathing technique. You can also do it anytime during the day when you're stressed, bored, or have a few spare minutes. You'll be lowering your blood pressure, improving immune health, and enjoying a sense of mental and physical peace and contentment.
The human retina, a thin membrane in the back of the eyeball upon which light is focused, is a miracle of bioengineering. It's about the size of a postage stamp and made up of 130 million cells that convert light energy into a chemical reaction and then into an electrical nerve signal, which is then sent to the brain. Technically, the retina is part of the brain and made up partially of brain cells, as well as 2 other types of cells called rods and cones that differentiate light frequencies so that various colors can be perceived. As it does with the rest of the body, aging takes its toll on the retina too, leading to damage collagen deterioration that's associated with various eye issues, including retinitis pigmentosa and macular degeneration, retinal detachments, and tears. Recently, researchers have found that the culinary spice saffron may support retinal health. Saffron extract has been shown to raise antioxidant and glutathione levels within the eye, and in addition to supporting the health of the retina, can be protective against glaucoma and may help reduce the formation of floaters. You can find saffron capsules on the internet and in health food stores. It's non-toxic, it has no side effects, and you can take as much as you want. Not all body odor needs to be eliminated. In fact, some people are oddly drawn to a person's smell, and there's growing evidence to suggest that components of bodily secretions play an important role in determining who we're attracted to or who is attracted to us. As it turns out, there may be a link between immunity and the odors of attraction and repulsion. Some scientists believe that a complex immune system molecule called the MHC may contain peptides that are directly responsible for these smells. Fragrance manufacturers have already started patenting some of these peptides in hopes of creating perfumes designed to attract members of the opposite sex. That's today's moment of truth. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now. Nothing in the natural world is as mysterious as a virus. These submicroscopic entities are not really alive, nor are they dead. They don't grow, eat, respire, or excrete. They're just basically a few molecules, i.e. genes. The smallest have only 4, the largest have just a couple of hundred, all wrapped up inside a shell made of protein. There are many thousands of different types of viruses, and every part of the planet, including the ocean, is saturated with them. Each drop of seawater contains 10 million, and there are up to 5 billion in a teaspoonful of soil. In fact, if all the 1 times 10 to the 31st viruses on the planet were laid end to end, they would stretch 100 million light years. Unfortunately, because viruses aren't living, they can't really be killed. It's true there are a few antiviral drugs that can suppress their chemistry, but for the most part, the only thing we can do to handle a viral attack is to prevent it from occurring in the first place. Luckily, our immune systems have evolved with viruses. We've developed effective biochemistry that can address infection. Body fat serves some very important functions. It's a source of hormones and immune chemicals. It regulates temperature, cushions and insulates organs and tissues, and it's the main storage form for energy. Interestingly, there are 2 major types of fat which can be distinguished by their color. White fat stores energy in 1 single oil drop. It's the globby stuff most of us think about when we look at our thighs and our bellies, and it's associated with diabetes, heart disease, and an early demise. Second type is called brown fat, darker hued because of the extra iron that it contains. Brown fat, which is densely packed with energy-producing structures called mitochondria, contains many smaller oil droplets. This makes them easier to burn and turns brown fat into a heat-generating biochemical machine. This heat-generating process, called thermogenesis, burns calories and can be helpful for patients dealing with blood sugar problems, obesity, and inflammatory diseases. If you want to increase your brown fat, the best way is to exercise. Supplementing with melatonin can help. Exposure to low temperature also, so consider taking a cold shower once or twice a week. Most people have heard about the benefits of using a good probiotic supplement. Unfortunately, selecting one that's right for you can be easier said than done. Unlike vitamins and minerals, probiotics are actually living creatures. They're metabolically active, producing chemicals that can cause reactions in people who ingest them. One of these chemicals is called histamine, which is associated with allergic responses. Even worse, histamine functions as a neurotransmitter, which can affect the brain, leading to anxiety, nervousness, insomnia, and migraine headaches, itching, rashes, chest pain, and digestive discomfort. If you feel lousy after you take your probiotic supplement, or you know that you're histamine intolerant, consider switching brands. Look for low histamine probiotics that don't contain histamine secreting bacteria, a fact that should be called out on the label. The most likely histamine producers are going to be bacteria that are used in the production of fermented dairy. There are also some probiotic brands that contain bacteria that can break down histamine. And you might try using histamine degrading enzyme supplements to take with your probiotics. We all want great skin. The problem is we're inundated with so many products and ingredients that it's hard to know what we're supposed to do. The biggest problem is the misleading look of the body's largest organ. Despite its homogeneous appearance, the skin is actually made up of multiple distinct layers, 3 major ones and a bunch more in between those. The surface is a microscopically thin, hard, waxy, fingernail-like film. It's a barrier to water and water-soluble ingredients. Living cells are way underneath it, and therein lies the problem. In order for an ingredient to really work, change the skin, you need to somehow activate those deeply located living cells. This is why retinol and fatty vitamin C are so important. Both have the prerequisite fatty forms to allow them to penetrate through the hard skin surface. Skin cells are receptive to both and lock onto these 2 molecules upon topical application. And over time, they'll migrate to the lower levels, supporting them, activating them, helping keep the entire skin structure smooth, soft, hydrated, and more beautiful.
Estrogen is important stuff. It's a growth substance that activates cell division, particularly for making babies. And while it has a reputation for keeping women youthful and feminine, in reality, its stimulating properties not only turn on tissue growth, but also inflammation and the immune system. It induces fluid movement and cellular swelling. It can also activate blood clots, blood vessel spasms, and migraine headaches. Elevated estrogen is also associated with fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, weight gain, and even cancer. And estrogen buildup can result in PMS and other menstrual issues. These conditions are made worse by the accumulation of extra potent catechol-estrogens, which are intermediate byproducts of estrogen breakdown. They show up when there's intestinal sluggishness or impaired gallbladder and liver function. One of the best ways to detoxify estrogen and reduce the buildup of catechol-estrogens is to support a biological process called glucuronidation, which essentially deactivates the potent female hormone. If you're dealing with estrogen toxicity, you might want to start using a supplement called calcium D-glucarate. It's also found in citrus fruits as well as cruciferous veggies. While water-soluble nutrients are easy for the body to handle, not so much for the four major types of dietary nutritional fats: the vitamins, DHEA and K, essential fatty acids, their derivatives, and some minerals like zinc and selenium. The digestive tract has to be firing on all cylinders for it to be able to leverage their stress management, anti-aging, and building and repair functions. When it comes to fat processing of all the components of this system, none is more important than the gallbladder. This small muscular bag holds bile for release when fatty foods leave the stomach and enter the intestine, where it acts to separate out the fatty nutritional components from food so they can be absorbed through the intestinal wall and into the lymph. With gallbladder issues, usually caused by toxicity, food allergens, or other digestive issues, DHEA and EFAs, among other fatty nutrients, are less likely to be absorbed, resulting in accelerated aging, as well as a disrupted ability to deal with stress and trauma. Skin is especially susceptible to the negative effects of a poorly functioning or absent gallbladder, and it can cause thinning, wrinkles, oiliness, acne, cysts, and dark spots.
Heartburn affects up to 50% of Americans at one time or another, and 15 million people suffer from it every day. While it's not considered a serious condition, the burning feeling in the chest and the throat can be a miserable experience. If it shows up once in a while, that may not be a big deal, but when it manifests chronically, it's diagnosed as a disease called GERD, and it can be a serious condition that can ultimately kill you. GERD can be a cause of throat and respiratory problems, including hoarseness, coughs, breathing difficulties, asthma. It can even lead to cancer, and every year thousands of people die from GERD-associated complications. The best way to treat heartburn druglessly, whether occasional or chronic, is to avoid problem foods, work on digestive health, keep track of what you eat in a food journal, and see if you notice triggers. Processed starches, sugars, and cereals are especially problematic, likewise caffeine and alcohol. And because large quantities of food can trigger heartburn, enjoying smaller meals and portions can have benefits. Probiotics, digestive enzymes, betaine HCl, and taking a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar with meals can help.
Rather than fear it, the best thing you can do to protect yourself from the coronavirus is keep your immune system strong by avoiding refined carbs and problem foods, drinking lots of clean, purified water, and getting on a good nutritional supplement program that features generous doses of vitamin C, as well as selenium and zinc, among other nutrients. And make sure you're getting enough rest and relaxation, which is good advice for general health and well-being, as well as for protecting you from the coronavirus. The essential nutrient zinc is a well-known immune system booster, and these days it can be a little difficult to find as more and more people become familiar with its highly regarded ability to help the body fight viral, bacterial, and fungal infections. But zinc does much more for good health and strengthening the immune system. It has a long list of benefits, including accelerating wound healing, supporting digestive functioning, and improving brain health. Zinc also destroys mouth odors, and rinsing with a zinc mouthwash is a great way to eliminate halitosis. It works for doggy bad breath too. If you add a couple of drops of liquid ionic zinc to your pooch's water, it can improve his breath, sometimes instantly. Zinc's odor-busting properties were used in Mum, the first commercial deodorant patented in the late 19th century. Greens are good, and any book on diet and nutrition will advise that enjoying them in abundance is one of the most healthful of dietary strategies. Green has always been linked to the natural world, the environment, and to the great outdoors. The gorgeous green of the plant world is the result of chlorophyll, a magnesium-based pigment that functions almost magically to turn light energy into sugar. And as attractive as it is, chlorophyll isn't just a pretty face. In addition to being a source of magnesium, a powerful antioxidant, has anti-cancer properties, can be used topically to accelerate the healing of wounds and acne blemishes, and adding a drop or two to your favorite mouthwash can absorb and eliminate mouth odors, improve bad breath, and help prevent gum disease. Chlorophyll has even been used intravenously to improve skin cancer lesions and for treating chronic pancreatitis. You can buy chlorophyll liquid in most health food stores or on the internet, and it's completely non-toxic,
so you can take as much as you want. Chlorophyll is also available in capsules, which are easier to use, although not as cost effective.
Of all the classes of phytonutrients, none are more important than the phytosteroids, which are similar to human cholesterol and that can help lower blood fats as well as blood cholesterol, can help keep estrogen from wreaking havoc on the reproductive system, and can provide protection from cancers of the breast, ovaries, and uterus. A phytosterol called beta-cytosterol is really helpful for male prostate problems, and taking 300 milligrams a day can reduce enlargement, improve urine flow, and help eliminate frequent urination. One of the most underappreciated of the phytosteroids is called beta-ecdysterone, a phytochemical that's a favorite of bodybuilders and gym rats around the world. In the 1980s, it was called the Soviet secret for the way it was used by the Russian weightlifting team to help them dominate their sport, but you don't have to be an athlete to benefit from beta-ecdysterone. It's readily available on the internet. 250 to 500 milligrams a day is a great daily dose for the elderly, frail, folks recovering from surgery, and anyone who wants a little boost in strength, energy, and youthful vitality. The lymphatics are a network of fluids and tubes that's responsible for the circulation of fats, fatty vitamins, and proteins. Similar to blood vessels, this system also plays a key role in the draining of toxins from cells and tissues, directing them to the kidney and liver for detoxification and elimination. Lymph is also a major actor in coordinating inflammatory and immune actions in response to infection or injury, and if you're sick, you can assume the lymph is at least partially involved. While there are numerous ways to encourage a healthy lymphatic system and to assure proper transport of nutrients and effective elimination of toxicity, none is more important than physical activity. Lymphatic flow is enhanced by deep breathing and contraction and relaxation of chest muscles, and running or taking a brisk walk can be very helpful. Jumping up and down on a mini trampoline or rebounder can also propel lymphatic fluid, and take a shower and alternate between hot and cold water for a few minutes. Hot water opens up the lymph vessels, cold water closes them. The world can be a frightening place, and there's all kinds of dangers that can wreak havoc on human beings and their lives. Fungus, bacteria, mosquitoes, terrorists, criminals, and crazies. To this motley mix of malevolence, you can add the coronavirus, which has dominated the news cycle for weeks and struck fear in the hearts of individuals, health authorities, and governments around the globe. Yet for all the doom and gloom, as it turns out, the infectious agent, a viral invader that affects the respiratory system, has only impacted 200,000 victims and killed about 1,000 of them, an infinitesimally small percentage of over 7.6 billion world citizens. To put that into perspective, the common flu kills about 400,000 annually, 1.25 million people die in car wrecks every 12 months, and even sweetened drinks take the lives of 184,000 sugar lovers a year. Rather than fear it, the best thing you can do to protect yourself from the coronavirus is keep your immune system strong by avoiding refined carbs and problem foods, drinking lots of clean, purified water, and getting on a good nutritional supplement program. Cholesterol, which anyone who understands biochemistry knows is one of the most important and functional substances in the body. It's turned into hormones, it's a critical building or anabolic molecule, and it plays an important role in helping the body handle stress. Yet ever since the advent of the cholesterol hypothesis of heart disease back in the early 20th century, this critical and significant molecule has acquired the unfortunate reputation of being a malevolent molecule whose levels have to be lowered pharmacologically or otherwise. The most important cause of elevated cholesterol is elevated blood sugar, and nothing will raise its levels faster than the standard American diet, whose calories are composed largely of processed carbs, sugary drinks, and sweets. And while cholesterol on its own will not necessarily cause heart disease, the dietary causes of elevated cholesterol can definitely be a problem. As always, good heart health and health in general is not as much about medicine and test scores as it is about common sense. Eat less, exercise more, maximize breathing, reduce stressors, and use nutritional supplements. Molecules come in two different shapes. Ones that dissolve in water and ones that dissolve in oil are hydrophilic for water-loving and lipophilic for fat-loving. And in the body, biochemicals and nutrients also come in two shapes. And that means to leverage the nutritional power of these two different classes of molecules, we need to understand how the body responds to each. The superstar water solubles, vitamin C and the B complex, help with quick-acting reactions like protection from stressors, particularly the sun and sugar, and they play an important role in the health of the skin, brain, and nervous system. The B's are also important for helping the body get energy from foods. The water-soluble minerals called electrolytes also play a key role in the health of the nervous system. Unlike fatty molecules, the water-solubles are eliminated from the body quickly, and thus they need to be replaced throughout the day. Drinking fresh juices, soups, enjoying whole fruits and veggies are good ways to keep hydrophilic molecules replenished, and using nutritional powders that you can add to water is a great way to top off your water-soluble nutritional tank.
The incredible amount of plastic that's manufactured every year has made it one of the most problematic substances ever produced. It began to be used by consumers in the 1930s. Today, it's hard to imagine a world without plastic, with 300 million tons of the stuff used every year. Aside from the disposal issue, plastic pollutants are a major source of environmental stress and can take centuries to break down. The modern-day polymer also contains numerous hormone-mimicking chemicals that distort male and female reproductive biochemistry. These include bisphenol A and phthalates, which can enter into foods that are stored or covered in plastic, especially when they're heated. This is why you should never cook in plasticware. Microwave ovens, which generate powerful frequencies that rapidly release these toxic chemicals, are especially troublesome. Just leaving plastic-covered food or drink in the sun can induce the release of these gender-bending hormone disruptors. Even worse, there are hidden sources of plastic poisons that can contaminate foods during factory manufacturing and home preparation, including canned foods with plastic linings, tea bags. One of the stranger things we humans do is freak out way more about dramatic events that are unlikely to affect us than we do mundane but surefire causes of disaster. The odds of being in a terrorist event are far slimmer than the odds of getting diabetes, but there's no government agency to keep us safe from elevated blood sugar. Sociologists say this phenomenon is based in the confusion our brains experience between risk and danger. A risk is a chance of something occurring, and a danger, a potential end result of a risk. In other words, just because a risk is present does not mean a danger will ensue. Risks are only potentially dangerous. And when we forget this fact, we diminish our quality of life. That's because being alive is inherently risky. Just walking across the street is risky. Flying on a plane, eating in a restaurant, or even eating at home is risky. Many of the things we love about life are risky, but that doesn't make them dangerous. If we confuse the two, we'll find ourselves locked in the house and avoiding human contact, missing all the joys of being alive in fear of the risk of a danger that may or may not come about. One of the most common of nutritional myths is the breakfast is the most important meal of the day, popularized by John Harvey Kellogg to promote sales of his cornflake cereal. 50 years later, Edward Bernays, one of the pioneers of modern-day advertising, convinced Americans that eating a high-calorie, high-protein meal first thing in the morning was part of a healthy lifestyle. The real facts about breakfast are a little bit different. Our Paleolithic ancestors probably didn't start off the morning with a big meal. It was more likely that they went without, or perhaps began the day with some seeds or plant materials of some kind. Eating draws blood and nutritional resources away from the brain and the muscles towards the digestive tract, not a plus for productivity. And perhaps most importantly, between our last meal and our next, the body is gradually becoming ketogenic, which means more energy and improvements in markers of inflammation. If you must eat breakfast, avoid cereals, sweets, and processed foods. Try to stick to protein and good fats. Eggs, fish, and avocados, and green leafies, enjoyed with lots of salt and spices, are all great foods to start off your day with. Modern medicine are convinced that bacteria, viruses, and other microscopic creatures are at the root of disease. There are those who are not so sure. An alternative belief argues that sickness is actually the end result of changes in the internal bodily environment called the terrain. Terrain theory holds that microscopic life forms that are observed in the blood of those who are ill are the result of unhealthy changes in the bodies of those who exhibit signs of disease rather than their cause. According to terrain theory proponents, microbial infections are opportunistic. Their proliferation and subsequent infection requires an opportunity presented by a weak body, and it is the strength and resilience of the life force that is the determining factor in whether and how illness shows up and the patient's ability to heal and recover. Terrain theory removes blame from infectious illness from outside forces and places responsibility for its manifestation as well as its elimination squarely on the patient, and states that it is not the microbes themselves that produce disease, but rather how they interact with cellular chemistry, and that if the body is balanced and healthy, it will not be susceptible to disease. Hyaluronic acid, a sugar amino acid molecule that can trap large amounts of water. This moisture-absorbing property, which the body uses to keep joints, internal organs, and tissues, as well as the skin hydrated, has made HA a valuable commodity in the world of skincare. As recently as 30 years ago, use of hyaluronic acid was restricted to the most expensive beauty products as it was only obtainable from animals. Recently, hyaluronic acid has become more readily available, even though it's still pricey at around $1,000 a pound. And unfortunately, while HA's moisture-trapping properties are significant, a teaspoon of the powder can hold up to a gallon of water. It's a really large molecule, and its topical effects are limited to superficial softening of the skin surface, which is composed of hard, dead cells. The best way to take advantage of hyaluronic acid's moisturizing effects is to take it orally, maybe 200 to 400 milligrams a day, where it can truly help hydrate the skin from the inside out. You'll also get benefits for your joints and connective tissue, and HA supplements have been shown to improve wound healing, bone growth, and the eyes are largely composed of hyaluronic acid. The human body is constantly breaking down, but if it's working correctly, it's simultaneously building itself back up. The biochemistry of breakdown, called catabolism, this catabolic process is nature's way of eliminating old cells and tissue so that the body's constituents always remain fresh and new. Anabolism and catabolism, which together form what's called metabolism, are occurring continuously, and when we're healthy, we're more anabolic than catabolic. As aging proceeds and when illness shows up, we're experiencing the opposite. Once we understand this, we can simplify health and the healing process. There's no mystery to aging and chronic disease. They're just a body that's breaking down faster than it's building up. All we need to do is turn up anabolism with nutrition, rest, respiration, and exercise, as well as positive psychology, as we at the same time slow down catabolism by avoiding toxicity, problem foods, and psychological stressors. It's all about metabolism. Yes, wellness is pretty much that simple. Good stuff in, bad stuff out, and let the intelligent, miraculous healing body do the work. While the cell is the nexus of illness, its health is dependent on being fed, oxygenated, and detoxified by the circulatory system. And while all disease is cell disease, all cell disease begins in the blood. This is why the movement of fluid through the circulatory vessels is so significant, and one of the most important things we can do to slow down and even reverse the aging process. Drinking water has blood thinning benefits. Deep breathing can help, as the diaphragm has a blood pumping effect. Correcting digestive issues is critical too. A leaky gut can lead to food particles entering into the blood and initiating a clotting response. And exercise supports the movement of circulatory fluids. And you can use essential nutrition to help thin the blood, particularly vitamin E, an important anticoagulant whose thinning effects are so significant that doctors warn against using it pre and post surgery. While that may or may not be good advice, vitamin E is important for wound healing, and in addition to blood thinning, it can also speed healing and accelerate recovery time. A daily dose of vitamin E can help improve tissue perfusion and nutrient and oxygen delivery to cells, as well as the elimination of toxicity. Over 50% of adults report some degree of sensitive skin, a condition marked by symptoms like itching, burning, stinging, and tightness in response to the application of topical products. While skin sensitivities are usually assessed as a condition that's related to products, in reality, healthy human skin functions as a mechanical barrier, and if sensitivity to product occurs, that's a situation that's more about the health of the body than it is about what we're putting on it. And while avoiding products can prevent reactions, if you want to permanently eliminate skin sensitivities, the condition needs to be addressed nutritionally and systemically. Skin sensitivities usually involve hyperactive immunity. Because the immune system is largely housed in the intestine, working on digestive health is critical. Eliminating problem foods can help. Likewise, using probiotics and taking digestive enzymes with all your meals. Many people with sensitive skin will find relief by using essential fatty acids, key players in immunity and the inflammatory process. Skin sensitivities are one of the first signs of EFA deficiency. The B vitamins are especially important, particularly vitamin B3 or niacin.
And for more health information, make sure to check out our YouTube or our Instagram. And you can actually message us there on the Instagram account and we will respond to every message. And definitely check out my newest book, Fake Diseases. It covers all of the major topics that come up, like birth defects, blood sugar problems, bone and joint problems, cancer, autoimmune problems, and more. And it's on Amazon for just $9.99. And the audiobook read-along version is free here on YouTube, and the link for that is in the description of this video.